Thank you for listening to the Rock Guitar Confidential Podcast with Ryan and Scott. Hey, do you ever want to know what's going on behind the scenes of music production and bands? Well, today we're going to find out. We're going to do a deep dive with drummer and producer Tom Frost. Stay tuned. Very cool. So your
Dude,
band.
that's a really good Macho Man Randy Savage voice.
Macho Man Randy Savage, yeah.
Yeah.
So this week we have Randy Savage impersonator
Exactly.
Tom Frost on the program.
That's his main sideline. Is that right? That's the main thing he does. You know, honestly, it's doing the world a service.
Well, the whole tribute band trend was bound to make its way to WWE personalities.
WWE tributes, yeah,
wrestling.
exactly.
Dude, one of the first records I owned was the WWF wrestling record.
Okay. So since it's on the topic, and we're talking about tribute bands, I think this would totally slay. A tribute
Slayer
band.
tribute band?
Yeah. No,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They've already got those.
They've already got. Yeah.
Oh, poor like foe Kerry King. That must suck to be that dude.
Well, plus you'd have to get a tattoo of like somewhat of a face on the back of your head if you were really going to get into character.
Yeah.
I remember one year at NAMM, I walked
behind him. I remember this.
I walked like through half the convention with Kerry King right in front of me, and his back of his head face was staring back at my face.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing.
It was a little disorienting. Yes, right.
Totally true.
But a tribute band that plays only professional wrestler theme songs.
Oh, okay. Do you feel like that's an untapped market? Is that what you
I think it is an untapped market.
Yeah.
If you play like the Ultimate Warriors theme song and like Demolition, you do like Real American.
Yeah,
by
you know what
Hulk
though? It'd be
Hogan,
like have to be like 80s wrestlers though. It couldn't be today's wrestlers.
Well, totally,
Music
yeah,
was so much
WWF.
cooler back then. You know what I mean? It's
Like the Iron Sheik.
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
who's that?
man.
Mr. Perfection or Mr. Paul
Mr.
Orndorff
Perfect.
Or, yeah, Mr. Wonderful. That's what it was.
Yeah, the $1 Million Man, Ted
Yeah.
DiBiase. Oh, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. That would be a fun one.
I
Hell
love the
yeah.
idea that
The
the $1 Million
Junkyard
Man is
Dog.
some rich guy back in the day. Oh my God, he's got $1 million.
No, but he worked for Vince McMahon, so he did not have
he
$1 million.
totally works for the post office. He's got $1 million. Everyone watch out. You know what I mean? It's so funny. The 80s were so clever, so cute. Hey, welcome everyone and welcome to the Rock Guitar Confidential Podcast with Ryan and Scott. And today we have our special guest, Tom Frost.
Hello.
Yes, exactly right. Now, you guys might know Tom's work for many of the myriad of bands, which we'll talk about here in a moment, but he actually is also the producer of the Ex Aegis album and is a good friend of mine and has produced and played drums on every Scott Allen Project album, too. So it's pretty cool. We got pleasure to have you in, Tom, and so say hi to the
to be
people.
here.
Awesome, dude. So let's talk about your experience as a musician, man. Like, how'd you get started? Like,
We should also warn our listeners. Tom is also a great drummer.
that's true. An amazing drummer.
Yeah,
I mean,
an awesome drummer.
the
First
best
drummer we've ever had on the program.
in the town of Sacramento. I know that shows you how good the level. He had to level up to be able to be on the program as a drummer.
Well, you guys have an interpreter, don't you?
Exactly. We have the spittoon for the drool right next to you. There, just keep it right there. Lean to the left. Lean to the left.
Well, it's
You'll be fine.
like Eric always says. He says, "Ba-da-ba-bum-bum-bum-ba-da-ba-bum-bum." That's my natural language.
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
No, you are much more articulate and capable than that, my friend. You are more than just a drummer.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
no, I know other languages like ugada.
He actually plays,
that's good.
he actually
Or
plays
dugga dugga.
keyboards too, so he's he's multilingual. It's all good. He's got it down. You know what I mean? So, what made you want to start playing drums, man? I've known you forever, but let's talk to the people.
Oh man, I was about 11.
Yeah, but why? Like, what was the input? What was the thing?
The defining moments were. Well, the first show I ever saw was Alabama. I don't think that was the one that really
You
did.
talking about the country band Alabama?
Yes, country band
Okay.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Killer live band, but not really a big Alabama fan. I think
Yeah.
my mom got the tickets from the radio.
Yeah, okay.
And then,
I remember the radio.
Yeah, but back in those days, though, every band was pretty badass. There
Yeah,
was- back in
those dudes
yeah.
had killer backups.
Yeah, I mean-
but then I went and saw Metallica on the Justice for All tour with Queensryche.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
what
shit,
a freaking
awesome.
bill that must have
That
been.
Hell
was
yeah.
like that was like the moment where
That was on
I
the Operation
just
Mindcrime tour for Queensryche
Yep.
too, right? Hell yeah, dude.
That was the moment that it set metal into my soul forever.
Yep.
But then the real moment where I decided I wanted to be a drummer was I went and saw Judas Priest with Megadeth and Testament.
Oh, nice. That was
Hell
yeah.
Painkiller?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about
Fuck
like
yeah.
11
So
or
Travis.
12.
What was
I don't
Megadeth
know.
touring on? Megadeth was probably touring on. Was it
Rest in
Rust?
peace.
I was gonna say Marty was in the band, right? Yeah.
And that was the moment I remember seeing
Testament's probably what
Scotty
Souls
Travis.
of Black on that album. Is
Yep.
that? Yep. Yeah.
Scotty Travis just like started Painkiller, and I remember
Yeah.
I was sitting up in the top of the stands at the Arco, and I just remember my chest was rumbling, and I was like, that's what I'm gonna do.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
Yep.
Scott Travis is such a cool guy. So like it must have been like 16 years ago now. I was doing this 80s cover band thing with with Tommy Armstrong and some other folks from like Larissa Brisky was singing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I went to go see Michael Schenker at the Boardwalk. And
dude, when was this?
it was
We
like
probably
maybe
opened-
16
We might have been
years
opening that
ago.
show. Yeah, yeah.
Probably
Yeah,
opened that.
it was the one. It was the one when Carmine was playing drums.
Yeah, that was
that the
us.
one?
That was
we,
it, yeah.
we opened that show. Yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah! So,
yeah.
so I'm at that. Well, then Scott Travis saw you play that night.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Because
Oh, man,
he was there.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm at the
Wow.
boardwalk talking to my buddy Brian, and I'm like, "Hey, that tall guy over there, he kind of looks like." And he says, "Scott Travis from Judas Priest." I was like, "Yeah, huh." You know, and so like I'm not gonna like fanboy anybody, but I kind of just like saddled up next to him and just said, "Hey, you're like." You don't need to react or like you're Scott from Judas Priest, right?
He's like, get away from you.
And he's like,
get
yeah.
away."
And I said, cool, dude. I just wanted to let you know, man. Painkiller changed my life, man. That was so. Thanks, cool. And he struck up a conversation with me. We started chit chatting, right? And so he's like, well, what are you doing? I'm playing this '80s cover band. And then he asks, well, when do you rehearse? I was like, tomorrow. Well, where's the studio? It's in South Sac. I mean, I don't really have the address like in my head, but here. So I gave Scott Travis my phone number and said, dude, just give me a call tomorrow. Like, dude, I totally understand if you don't, you know, because he's like, well, what should I bring? I'm like, oh, well, bring some sticks. So the next day, I told him, like, dude, it's no big deal. I mean, it was nice meeting you and everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, here's my phone number. If you want to give me a call tomorrow afternoon, I'll have the address for the rehearsal studio and everything. And, dude, and if not, no worries. Like, seriously, really
a pleasure meeting you. And-
Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you. It's all good. So the next afternoon, Scott Travis from Judas Priest gives me a call. I give him the address, and he showed up to my band's rehearsal.
Super tight.
Yeah, we had Scott from Judas Priest on drums for that night of rehearsal for that band.
Did you guys work Painkiller in for that specific?
You know what? I suggested Painkiller, and he kind of like waved it off. But, you know, we played like the older, easier to play classic stuff, like
Living
Break
After
the Law.
Midnight or
I'm not
something.
really
Living After
wanting to
Midnight,
sweat
yeah.
Tonight is basically what he's saying.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally.
But
totally.
a cool thing to do though, because he didn't have to do that. He could just said, "Oh, cool, man," you know, and then and waved you on by. That's cool. You know?
So he's a killer rock star, man. I went and saw Judas Priest in Concord a couple years later, and like I texted him, like, "Hey, you know, what's up?" Right? And you know, he I guess they just flew right in, did the show. It was like they fly in date and then fly back out. But he still was courteous enough to like text me afterwards.
Hey, was Priest
Super
at
cool guy.
Aftershock? Wasn't Priest playing at Aftershock?
Priest played
yeah,
at
yeah. I was
Aftershock,
gonna say
yeah.
they're just in town yesterday, like 2 days ago or something like that.
Dude,
yeah.
Yep.
I watched I watched a bunch of footage from the different bands that played over the weekend, and oddly enough, I mean, I've never been a huge fan of the band.
Of Priest?
Of the band I'm
Oh, okay,
about to
okay.
mention, that I watched out of all the videos. The band that, from what I could tell, that was really crushing it, Slipknot, dude.
Huh?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
was
as a
just-
live show, I'm sure they're
They
awesome.
were just like, I was like, good God, these dudes are just killing it.
Those guys are young enough to still have it. You know what I mean? They're like in their mid-50s now. You know,
Oh,
and it's
dude.
not, you know, they're not like in their 60s and 70s like the other bands.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what
yeah.
I mean,
That's
but just, yeah, they were crushing it, dude,
Yeah.
from what I could tell. I mean,
yeah, I just, you know, look at the Aftershock in most American metal fests, and I just look at that, and there's like maybe 4 bands that have even the most interest in seeing
Right.
that whole
Yeah.
bill. There's like 30 bands. There's only 4 I even give a shit about. You know what I mean? And in Europe, it's totally different. You look at the Wacken festival. It's like, fuck, I would watch every one of those bands.
Oh yeah,
you know what
dude,
I mean?
I'd be
It's-
there every
Yeah.
day of Wacken.
Yeah,
But
it's-
you know, yeah, and Aftershock, it's like.
It's like a lot of new metals, like 90s new metal type stuff. It's a lot
Well,
of
now it
Korn
is
and shit,
because
you know?
yeah, the horrors of
Well,
'90s nostalgia
there's
are
a
setting
lot of
in.
these new dudes like you got Kim Dracula.
Oh, that's a cool name.
Have you heard that guy?
No, it sounds like it's up my alley though.
It gets out there, dude. Like
Nice.
Like whoa. Like it's some. A lot of this new stuff is really crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Like you got your what is it, Periphery or whatnot?
Yeah.
Periphery's awesome.
yeah.
I love that.
They're
band.
awesome,
Yeah,
but then you've
yeah.
also got that. What's that one band?
Unearth.
No, they're very much in that vein. It's Unprocessed.
Oh, I've not heard this.
Another one to check out.
Yeah, yeah.
Really super intense. Like
Unearth's a great band. I mean, I love Buzz's playing and stuff.
or
like that,
have you heard The Rings of Saturn?
I have, yeah.
That's another
Yeah.
one that's just like cracked out crazy.
I think the thing about the most new bands though is I fear for their future in the sense that there's not like any songcraft. It's all interesting experimentation. It's all very cool and there's good players and interesting parts, but it's not like there's a great song.
I think
You know what I mean?
Dracula, out of all the newer things that I've been hearing, I think Kim Dracula is he's got some stuff that's pretty commercial to an extent.
But think of it, it's not even about just commercial. Is it a great song? I mean, because there's like songs, if you look at all the songs that we look at now, like back from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, that we think are great, they're going to be great 50 years from now. They're going to be great 100 years from now. They're
Yes,
great songs.
correct.
Whereas if you're a band and you're an interesting band and creative and you do interesting things, but you don't have the songs to back it
Yep.
up, it's really there's only so much that can happen there. You're going to have a span of time where you'll be popular, but then
Right.
after that kind of, goes away, you might have some, like maybe 30% of the audience come back in 20 years who are nostalgic for it, but it's not going to stand the test of time like a Fleetwood Mac album or an Eagles album or something like that would, you know what I mean?
Now all those hits from the 60s, 70s, 80s had like a whole record industry behind them.
Yeah, and great producers, as we
radios.
talked about on a podcast earlier, about the great producers.
Right,
You know what
but
I mean?
there was a whole industry where there was like a shared culture that all like built memories around that song. That's not going to happen anymore.
Great songs are great songs, dude. I mean, there's not like there's a time period that like a shelf life on great songs.
Well, I
You know,
agree, but they're not supported or marketed the same way, so it's not going to reach the casual listener the same way.
That's true, but that being said, though, a lot of the bands who are underground don't have the songs either. You know, they have
that
they have
too.
something. They have like a vibe. They have a look. They've got a certain thing that they do that's great, but they don't have the great song. And without the great song, you're never going to reach to an audience that's going to buy in. They like been be there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we talked about before. Like,
well, but even if they
like,
do have the
is there
great
going
look
to
and
be
the
like
great song,
Is there 35 years from now going to be people going to a Pop Tropica Sluts concert with their
well,
wife
that's because
for the
Pop
memories?
Tropica Sluts sucks. Yeah.
I'm sorry, no, it'd be Joe's Pop Tropica
There-
Sluts.
but there are some bands still out there that do have songs like out of all the newer stuff that I've been hearing lately, like the one that really catches my ear the most, and I think that had the most potential, at least until recently, was that band 12 Foot Ninja.
Oh, I've heard about those guys.
Oh.
too.
They're a really good band. They got a really good thing going. Like their whole package deal is really good, and they just lost their singer.
Oh, what a bummer.
Oh,
man.
And
shit.
that guy is just like was a hot commodity in my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's very hard to overcome. Yeah.
So they lost him as in he left or he died?
I'm not sure what the deal is, but he's not in the band anymore, and I think it's greatly affected them.
Yeah.
But he is
Sure.
Well, I mean, I
he's
guess
not one of
being a 12-foot ninja, you kind of got a marked target on your back. At some point, it's going to catch up with you. You know, what I
Yeah,
mean? The
I
clients
mean,
are going to find you.
if it breaks you down into
Yeah.
like a 3-foot ninja,
Yeah.
then you're just Louis Shortstop.
Whoa! I'm going to front this band.
if you've never heard them,
I've heard them.
Great newer band.
I mean, there's
I'll
a
check
bunch
that
of
out.
bands that I think that hear stuff and go, wow, that's really cool. That's a really cool thing. But just like, it's not very deep. There's not like 6 tunes that are super memorable on that album. There's like maybe one. And I don't know, it's weird. I feel like that songcraft is kind of a lost art. That's the thing that's missing from most bands, in my opinion.
Things are changing though too.
Yeah.
Like just the overall style of writing now is way different than it was 10 years ago.
And I don't think that's a positive. I think that's
So how would you describe the difference?
Man, like the way that the use of polyrhythms.
Oh,
and,
sure, yeah, like the Meshuggah effect.
Oh, just all of it.
Yeah.
Like the technical aspect of playing, the bar is just like boom, way up here.
in
now.
certain
It's like-
genres, yes, that's true.
I mean,
Yeah.
like especially like the heavy rock and metal or any of that. Like it's like I was on the way to a gig this weekend, and I had it like just kind of on a playlist channel, and it was playing a bunch of like more modern heavy thrash stuff and stuff like
Yeah.
that. My God, is everybody a virtuoso now?
Yeah,
I'm like,
well,
what
and dude,
the flip?
everything's like really mathy too. Like so,
yeah.
even like indie. I've got a student who's really into Dance Gavin Dance, and like it's kind
Which is a
of
Sacramento band, and I just found that out recently.
Right, I know. That's why there's like murals all through downtown. I just recently discovered that too.
Yep.
And the music is melodic and catchy and kind of indie, but
Yeah.
it's very mathy.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't think the playing level has ever been higher amongst the musicians in
Oh,
the rock and
it's
metal or the
crazy
prog
high,
in the prog
crazy
world.
high.
I agree with you. It's never been higher, but I think that memorableness is not there. That's the thing that's missing. You know what I mean? And that's also I always find that the proggy bands, they tend to be like really, really technical, but there's no songcraft or balls. The heavy bands to be really ballsy and technical, but there's no songcraft. You know what I mean? And that's the
feel
something,
you.
and that's the thing that it kind of loses me on that. I'm like, okay, like there's all these great prog bands. Even Dream Theater, as technical as Dream Theater
Their
is,
new
there's still
stuff sounds so much like the early
Awake,
2000 Awake,
yeah.
the Beyond Words. Or
But as
whatever it
heavy
is.
and as technical as they are, they never lose craft of the melody. The melody's always the forefront of what they're doing in that band. It's always melodic hooks. That's the bedrock of that band, and the rest of it's kind of built on that bedrock.
Mike Portnoy adds a lot to that band. I hate to say it. I mean, I love Mike Mangini's
He's
playing.
a monster, man. Mangini is.
But Portnoy, it's to me that is the drummer I always remembered with Dream Theater. And looking back, it's just he is the guy. He's the sound for that band.
Well, I would argue John Petrucci is the sound of that band.
Well, I mean, they're all a part of it. But I mean, as far as drummers go, like to me, he's the guy. He was the drummer of Dream Theater.
No, of course.
For years.
No doubt.
He's the Neil Peart of Dream Theater.
Exactly.
You can't really remove him and have the same thing.
No, I mean, I think that what's cool though is we got those albums of Mangini too, and they were different, but they were cool in their own way, and they had a different thing going on, which I totally dig. I think the songwriting from the song I heard, "The Night Terror," the new one, which I think is great, but
sounds just like it was on Images and Words.
No, totally is. But I gotta be honest, I dug the last album or the 2 albums ago with Mangini better. I thought.
Oh, really?
I thought Distance Over Time, the songs were better, were cooler.
I haven't
you know
really
what I mean?
been too much. I kind of fell off the Dream Theater thing, like right around when Mangini came into the band.
I love the first album they did with Mangini, A Dramatic Turn of Events. I thought that was awesome, and I thought the third album they did was awesome with Mangini. And then I love a lot of the Portnoy stuff too. I don't really have any album with Portnoy I don't think is good in that album, but I don't know. It's cool. It's all good. I agree with you. He does. They do sound like old Dream Theater.
It sounds like old Dream Theater.
No doubt about it.
I think it's awesome because
Yeah.
that was like I remember they were pretty magical to me when I first discovered them back in the 90s.
Dude, they got me through the 90s. You kidding me? That's the only band. I remember I met John Petrucci at the NAMM show in 95 when I was, or 96, I guess it was, when I was going to school to MI. And I remember telling him, like, dude, like, thank God for you guys. Because it wasn't for Dream Theater, there would have been like, nothing.
They spawned a whole movement, man.
Yeah.
They picked up where Rush was leaving off.
Yeah,
basically.
and they mixed it with like the heaviness of Metallica. It was kind of, and then the virtuoseness of Steve Vai or Yngwie, and they kind of brought that into all together. You know what I mean? But thank freaking God for those guys, because that was like the 90s were so depressing. It was so hard to be a music school student in the late 90s and try and be excited about music. You know what I mean?
The whole grunge thing.
Korn and
We call it the grunge
Blink-182.
apocalypse.
Yeah. Oh, we've not talked about this
Yes,
yet.
but paralleled only by the Garth apocalypse, which I'm not sure where.
Garth Apocalypse is so much of a lesser thing.
No, it's not, dude.
But those
it's
country
it's
dudes
also
are
bad.
so good. Some
Yeah.
of them. I mean,
The ones
This is
that
the
are
point I was
not
making
named
myself, I
Jason Aldean or
Even the guys in his
Nate
band are good,
Smith.
dude. Yeah,
oh well, no,
they're-
I'm sure that
they're
look, the
Nashville
session
cats. They know their shit. You know what I mean?
The
It's-
session guys are good, but again, the whole rise of new country just means that Tipper Gore and the PMRC won.
I understand.
That's what it means.
But dude, the new country was not nearly the movement that grunge was.
Dude,
I mean,
it has absolutely sucked the casual rock fan away
Totally.
from
We
rock.
talked about this on the podcast. Yeah,
and so that's why we
anybody
must
who wants to
despise
go to
it.
a show and see beer and titties went to a country show. That's what
dude,
it was. You know what I mean?
if you're
That's-
going to pick up chicks, you go to the country.
yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, and it used to be you had to go see like
Motley Crue
Poison
or
on the
Poison,
sun or
yeah.
Motley
Or
Crue,
Def
right?
Leppard or
Yeah, and
White
I would
Snake,
just
yeah.
rather go listen to Def Leppard.
But dude,
Right.
grunge put the knife through the stake, right in the heart of metal and rock, and
Garth was right there to help twist it.
no, Garth was right there saying, "Hey, we guys want to have fun? Come on over here."
No, he was like, "Hey, all of you prudes, you can still go to a big rock style show, but I tuck my stupid shirt into my jeans so your youth group leader won't be afraid." That's the problem with new country.
Okay,
anyway,
long story. We had a whole
no,
podcast.
I know.
on it.
I'm just trying to get you to stop defending it.
No, I'm not defending. I think it's like it's okay. It's like the lesser of the evils. Like okay, grunge is like Godzilla smashing the city, and then like the grunge or the Garth Apocalypse is like but then afterwards it was hard to get the electrical system back up. It's like the grunge was like Godzilla destroying everything, and then that's like but
Except
then this other
Godzilla's
problem-
cool.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, well,
though?
unless it's
we're
Godzilla
focusing on
X
what
Kong.
was not the one that was most to blame for that whole thing happening. You know what I mean?
Well-
I know it's. I mean, we started Scotland Project late '90s. Actually, we played together in 7 years, late '90s.
Yep.
We're kind of. I don't know how do you describe 7 years? It was kind of like a.
It was like
hard rock metal, kind of Skid Row-y kind of level
a
heaviness.
little heavier than Skid Row.
Yeah, but kind of in that range, you know.
Yes.
And that was what's where Tom and I met, and then that morphed in.
I actually saw
So-
Aaron this morning. So.
Oh, very cool.
Nice.
Okay, hope
So-
Aaron's the guitar player in that band.
So we should probably so Tom, maybe tell us just more about yourself more broadly so everyone listening knows who you are.
Yep.
So tell us all about yourself.
Well, Let me think of where to even start.
It seems to you be the world's
So-
foremost expert on what's up with Tom
So,
Frost.
so, of all, so of all the guys that I grew up around, dude, I've always respected you because you're one of the doers, man. I remember you and Marty coming into guitar player music when I was
Martin
about
Cressy,
the-
great
and
guitar
we're all
player.
about the same age, right?
Yep.
We all went to a Testament show.
That was an interesting evening. That was the night that my friend punched out his window of his car.
Well, because my jacket was in his
That's what it
Camaro,
was,
so
yeah.
me and another
dude,
friend.
I know that's not an 80s story, but that sounds like such an 80s
No,
story.
it totally is.
Dude,
So
my friend totally punched out the window of his Camaro.
Oh yeah.
So it was,
Totally, yeah.
so it was time to leave, right? So like we jammed at your house, then we went over to go see Testament. I left my jacket in some dude's Camaro, so your other buddy kicked the window in so I could get my jacket. And then later on, your mom drove me home. But dude, the great, like you and Marty could both play, and we
That
were
was
all
way
into the
back
same
in
stuff.
high school, dude.
Yeah, I think I was like 15 because I couldn't drive. Right?
I think I was a freshman or a sophomore in high school at that.
That's right. We were freshmen or sophomore or something like that. So that's when we first met. But, dude, you've gone on to, do killer stuff, as a drummer, as a producer. We worked at Skip's Music together. So, maybe, just want to shine some more light on all of that cool stuff you've done. And
Well, in the early days, at least, like when I was first starting out, like right around that same period of time or shortly thereafter, I ended up meeting Scott. I was introduced to Scott through this girl that was friends with my girlfriend at the time. She was like, "Yeah, I know this bass player guy named Bob, and you guys should meet. I think you guys would hit it off." So Bob and I met, and then Bob's like, "Yeah, I got this friend. He plays just like Eddie Van Halen." and I'm
Nice.
like, "Well, that's cool. I'm all about the Van Halen,
course.
And
I think I keep on. This is like '98, by the way. This,
right around
yeah,
that. And then we ended up trying to form a Van Halen cover band,
yeah, with Bill on vocals,
and
yeah.
it ended up faltering out because we couldn't find anybody to front it. Like,
Well, no, Bill wanted to front it, but when I told him we wanted to do both Roth and Hagar era stuff,
He was like, "Oh, yeah,
he's like, no, I'm not doing Hagar stuff." I'm like, dude, we gotta do both. We gotta
Dude.
do both. And he's like going, no. And then after that, it's like, well, I'm out. And then when Tom and I like, do we want to like go find another? Who's gonna be able to front this
Yeah.
and sing both? It's like, and then we kind of just went our separate ways for a bit. You know what I mean? And
And then it was just all about like, you know what? Well, maybe we'll just eliminate the singer and we'll just shred.
well, no, we had the
Nice.
intermediate step is when Marty moved to Arizona to chase a girl.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, this sounds like we're toying. I'm sorry, Marty. I'm not.
no,
getting
that's
into
all
this, man.
right. So what's cool to me,
We formed a band, we were in the band 7 years together
Yep.
with Aaron hitting
Yeah.
on guitar and myself and Damien on bass and Tom playing drums and Bill vocals.
Mm-hmm.
That lasted for about a year and a half.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
we recorded that 5-song EP
Yep.
thing. Did a bunch of shows. That's where Damien kicked my freaking pedal board off the stage at one of the shows. That was pretty funny. I don't know if you know that happened.
I'm in the back all the time. I
Well, it's supposed to, I was getting ready to do a solo, and Damien was thrashing around, and he spun around and kicked my pedal board.
who's Damien?
Damien was the bass player in 7 years.
Okay, awesome.
he also played bass in that band Vend.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Huh.
Wait, he kicked
That's
my
like a
pedal
new
board,
conjugation of the
knocked
word
my
then.
distortion
Yes.
pedal out of the thing, so I had I was
Nice.
technically not plugged in. Right as I went to the solo, the monitors were so bad I couldn't hear it anyway. So I go to my solo, I'm totally doing the guitar face on the ground. Then I look it down on my pedal
Very
board, and I
Nigel
realize
Tufnell.
the guitar is not even plugged in. And I feel like such a douche, and I plugged it back in. I was like, it was hilarious. It was really funny. Anyway,
So what I think is cool is, and I tell my students this all the time, you're going to meet a lot of people that you play music with, and the people that are really good are the ones that you're going to know for the next 30, 40, like the rest of your life if you stay in town, right?
Yep.
So, you guys are like those guys for me, right? You're the guys who could actually play. And here we are, 30 years later, and I mean, dude, I'm super proud that I've been able to make music with both of you guys.
yeah.
Definitely.
And I just think it's cool that, you're the guys that I met that were serious. And so
I've never been serious. I take really offense at that, dude.
Yes, exactly. Well, unless it's about the Garth
Yeah,
Apocalypse.
or
but-
any other subject.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm going to dispel that whole myth right now. I'm a drummer.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah.
You play keyboards
So-
and dabble on guitar, so you kind of you're partially human.
Hey, no, I recently took up singing, believe it or not.
I did.
Tell us all about it. That's
I've
fascinating.
been going across the street to this bar there's this little bar across the street from my house, and I'll go over there and I'll break off songs that I'm really not quite fit to be singing.
Is it karaoke style? Or?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay, yeah.
And like, so I'll go and like, I started doing like Dio songs.
Nice.
Nice.
Mountain Silver Mountain.
I can fake the Dio, but then, yeah,
So you show up like, so you're busting out like "Don't Talk to Strangers" after someone else was like singing like, you know, "Ride a Cowboy."
pretty much are singing like some rap song or something. Yeah.
Yep.
And then they look at me like they're like, "What the hell?" Because I'll break off like "Heaven and Hell" or some song
Yeah,
like that.
fuck
and
yeah.
so then I started, you know, I was like, okay, so I'm doing okay with the Dio, and I think I'm gonna try Night Train.
Nice. I'm on the night train.
Holy crap, that was like so not ready for the end of that song.
Yeah.
Well, you just about have to damage your voice like Axl to sing it,
Yeah.
right?
And then I got big old britches one day, and I must have had one too many drinks, and I broke off "Lovin', Touchin', Squeezin'.
Oh man, that's
Ooh, that's got to be
And
tough.
that was all good until the second verse, and it was all. And then I realized I was, whoa, this is way out of my range now.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I was like, and I did one of those. And I just started laughing, and uncontrollable laughing through the whole second verse because I knew it was so
No,
far out of my
that's what
range.
karaoke's for. Yeah, right.
But so like
that would actually happen. And Robert Plant tried to do that now too, by the way.
But
So.
now I'm doing the drumming and singing thing now too.
Ah,
a
nice.
little bit more.
Nice.
going with the Kelly Keegi / Dean Castronova thing.
Mostly just backups, and they keep me low in the mix.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
you know, if I had to do it all over again, I would have taken some vocal lessons when I was much younger.
Yeah.
That's an important skill to have.
You know, really important to understand is it's always too late to learn new things. Just keep that in mind. So
Yes,
everybody out
absolutely.
there, just know, whoever you are, you're stuck as you are. There's no chance of improvement.
Right,
Just so
right.
you know.
It's just, you know, at this point, I would
There's
pour
really
that
no
time
point in
into
trying
more
to-
guitar playing.
That's
but,
right.
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up out in the middle of nowhere, like in the country. So like I had to walk home like a mile and a half every day from the school bus.
Yeah, yeah.
Uphill in the snow.
Pretty much.
Both directions.
More
He,
like-
he lives in California. We know that.
yeah,
stuff.
it was more like
Yeah.
you know, up and down the hills in the mud, but
Yeah.
But I had a lot of time to sit there, and I would sing to myself and stuff because I'd be super bored.
And back in those days, he actually had awesome songs to sing too. You know what I
Well,
mean?
that and
Yeah.
I listened to a lot of King Diamond and Queen's.
Oh my God!
Fuck yes. Are you going
King
to King Diamond in
Diamond's
November?
never been brought up
No
in this
shit, he's coming
podcast
to town?
before.
November
Is
27th.
it Merciful or is it King
No,
Diamond?
it's King Diamond.
He's in Oakland, right?
Dude,
He's
it-
at the Fox. Is that what it is?
Yeah, at the Fox Theater in
Yeah.
Oakland. Yeah, it's
Growing
the,
up, I was actually a bigger King Diamond fan in the early days, and then at some point, I discovered Merciful Fate.
Yeah,
And
so
I'm
good.
actually more of a Merciful Fate guy now.
That is perfectly okay.
I'm exactly the opposite, but that's okay.
I like, to me, King Diamond's a little more theatrical and
Andy
composed.
LaRoque. That's what I was saying.
yes,
You know what I mean?
To me,
That's-
Merciful's got the riffs.
no, no
yeah,
doubt,
yeah.
no
Merciful
doubt.
Fate
I mean,
is also way more satanic,
Yeah.
and I love that.
Andy LaRoque. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, everyone knows Andy LaRocque is my
yeah,
guy. That's really
yeah.
why I bought the comparison.
Dude, I love Andy. I've loved him forever. He's
Yep.
an awesome guitar. That's the reason I love King Diamonds. Is that musicians are so legit in that band.
And you know that was a
True.
good indicator too, because I remember when we met when we were teenagers. Like I knew right off the bat you guys were into King Diamond and Death. Like I was really high on individual thought patterns at that time.
You have to be. How could you
Yeah.
not love and respect Chuck
I went
Schuldiner?
through a whole
Yeah,
death
man.
thing recently, dude. I like kind of had a resurgence of an interest in death, and I was going through it there for a minute.
Dude, there's a documentary on Amazon Prime all about Chuck Schuldiner.
Get out of town. Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's free with Amazon Prime. So if you
I'll have to
stream on
check that
Amazon
out. Very
Prime,
Cool.
yeah.
Very cool.
I watched. I pulled up some footage the other day. It was them. It was like footage of them recording Human. Oh my God, dude! Talk about like just gnarliness, dude. Sean Reinhart was just like he
Right.
was the game changer for metal drummers.
And that would have been Paul Masvidal too on that album,
Yep.
right? So they later went on to form Cynic.
And Steve DiGiorgio on
Yeah.
bass. Yeah.
You know, it's not delivery. It's DiGiorgio.
Holy cow!
Man, that was a self-leavening joke.
But did you see Death to All when they came to town?
No.
Oh yeah, they came to town about a year and a half ago.
So who is that? DiGiorgio
It's
and
DiGiorgio. It's Gene Hoglan. And,
Fuck yeah.
They got
Hoagland's a monster, dude.
they've got
Yeah.
two other guys that are playing with them. The singer looks kind of
Wait,
like
didn't they
it
have,
sounds just like Chuck, but it's not.
They
him.
had one of the guys who played with Death, and oh my God, I can't believe I'm spacing on. He made a bunch of great instrumental solo albums in the '90s with Shrapnel. Why am I spacing on his name? Oh my God, it's gonna come to me. There's the guitar player that was with them. Was freaking monstrous. I remember that.
Oh, the guitar player guy.
Yeah, yeah,
That,
guitar-
not Paul Masvidal.
No. It's the other guy who.
I know who you're talking about.
Blonde hair dude.
The dude who was in Obituary.
Yeah, he's in Obituary too.
James Murphy.
James Murphy.
Oh,
yeah.
sick.
Yeah, James Murphy was with that. Was the guy,
He was
right?
the guy playing guitar that night at the Testament concert that when we went.
Right,
That's
right,
right.
right.
That's why. Was it Low or?
It was the Low tour.
Low
Yeah.
tour. Yeah.
Dude, about that same time, he had a solo album too, Dreams of
Yep.
the Carrion Kind. I was
Dude,
really high
I
on
got
that
his
at the
solo
time.
records. I remember
Yeah.
James Murphy was.
Dude, he's like the death metal
Oh,
guy.
you're,
Yeah.
you're thinking about Disincarnate.
Yes, Disincarnate. That's right.
Disincarnate, dude. I actually I pulled some like I hadn't listened to that since like high school.
Right.
And I pulled it up the other day when I was driving, and I was like, holy shit, this stuff is so brutal still. I'm like,
Right.
to today's standards, it's even brutal.
Well, that's why.
Yeah.
But the riffs were so much more heavy and crushing in those bands, and the soloing was still monstrous too. So I feel like I don't know, not to sound like the old man yelling at clouds, but I think that's what's missing with a lot of the heavy stuff now. It doesn't have the balls. You know what I mean? It's not like that ballsy, like brutal. Thing
It's
it
too.
was.
It's too perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big thing with why like lately, honestly, metal is kind of like lost its glimmer for me, like lately, because like when I hear a lot of the new modern production, a lot of these dudes are using the same sample sets on the drums.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's all the same. Yeah.
And it's like they're quantizing stuff to a point where it's just homogenized and
Yep.
there's no life to anything. Like when
Yeah.
I grew up, like it was the little nuances in the recordings that I was like that really made me interested in
Even
hearing.
something like
Yep.
One in Metallica, that there's like a lot of little imperfections in the drum parts in that whole album. Really.
Yeah, I mean it's Lars on drums.
Yeah, exactly.
well, dude, I actually
But
had
it's
a-
cool though. That's cool.
I'm
Lars.
not usually. That was just too easy.
I had a conversation with somebody the other day. We were discussing. Somebody was asking me. We were discussing Metallica, and I had mentioned to the good person that looking back, Lars doesn't get a ton of accolades
Love
for
and
what he
props,
does.
yeah.
But as much as everybody gets on him for playing a little looser here and there, the dude was I don't know if it was him or the producer of the records
Was it Fleming Rasmussen or something?
that was making these suggestions for what to be played at when.
Yeah.
But his composition and his ideas as far as the way the drums played to the music and what he was doing is kind of like, it's just brilliant when I
Yeah.
look back. It's like I couldn't imagine those drum parts any other way.
Yep.
And they
That's a good way to do the composition of it. You're right. It's almost
mean,
like part of the
and-
song.
and
It's like
it's-
a chord
and it's-
progression or something. You couldn't change.
And
it,
we're talking like the first 4 albums, Lars, right?
Oh,
or are we? I mean, after the Black album, it's kind of a black hole.
yeah, I'm not,
I feel like after the Black Album, he just kind of gave up.
Well, the
You know,
Bob
it's-
Rock era kind of was the signing off of the real original Metallica that caught my attention and made me just mesmerized.
Dude, same here, dude. The
Well,
Black album.
every Metallica fan feels that way.
I
Basically,
refer to them as Metallica after that. It's all the good musical ideas were gone. I don't.
I don't know
yeah.
all. I mean, I would say there's a handful. There's a smattering of good songs from Metallica after the Black Album.
It
but
just
it's,
seems. It just seems like they went bluesy after the Black Album,
Right.
and it just that right there was kind of the death.
It's hard to be an
of
angry
Metallica.
young man when you're like in your mid 30s and multimillionaire.
They,
You know
they
what I mean?
either
That's-
true. They either stopped developing as musicians, or Cliff Burton had all the good ideas, and Dave Mustaine
Dave
before
Mustaine.
him.
I was gonna say give credit where
Well,
it's
Well,
due.
Mustaine's ideas are gone by Ride the Lightning.
That's not true. There's some stuff on Master of Puppets from Mustaine too, but
Oh, like which ones?
I can't remember. I remember if you look at the credits, it's there.
You ever notice
Yeah.
how drastically different and how much better the lead work on Ride the Lightning and Master
Yep.
Puppets are? The
All
ones
the time.
Yeah.
That Satriani is basically they listed him in the liner notes. He is the lead guitar consultant.
Yeah, because he's Kirk's teacher.
that's
so, I mean,
fascinating.
So,
Yeah.
so he was consulting with the band in the studio on those 2 records. That's why the leads sound just phenomenally more.
Well, I think
That makes perfect
cohesive.
sense.
I think
yeah.
some of Kirk's best leads are actually on Justice, man. to
Really?
be
You
honest.
think
I
so?
think so. Yeah. I mean, as far as leads.
Yeah,
go,
I think. I
Yeah.
mean, one's got a bunch of tasteful solos in it.
Yeah.
They're not heavily technical, but it's a good
as
intermediate
technical
thing
as
to teach
Kirk
somebody.
gets. I mean, Kirk
With the
is-
exception
Yeah.
of the lack of bass guitar.
Yeah.
And Justice for All, it was still to this day my fondest and most dear.
I've always found. I think
I
those-
agree. And you know what? The absence of the bass guitar, I think, kind of makes that album sound meaner.
to an
Well,
extent.
it sounds lean and like almost like a starving animal kind of thing. You know
Yeah,
what I
they're
mean? That's-
pissed.
yeah.
They're pissed that Cliff's dead.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you can hear it in everything.
I've always dreamed like what would happen if Injustice had like the Black Album's production though. You know what I mean?
I think that would
been-
take away from it.
I think it'd be freaking amazing.
I don't
dude.
think it will. I don't think it would have worked because that album, the Justice album and the Black album, there's a lot more air in the Black album.
I know,
Like,
but the bigness of the sound that the Black Album has. I
well,
would
that's
love
why
it,
it's
yeah.
got more air.
Yeah.
It's got this. There's more space between the notes and stuff, so it's not just all madness, just crushing stuff.
I see that, yeah.
I think if like Justice for All is a scalpel and the Black Album's like a club.
Yeah, I get you. Well, I mean, I think that if you look at like the Megadeth stuff too, like the starting with like I would say I think Euthanasia and Countdown to Extinction sound amazing for metal albums. You know what I mean?
Countdown to Extinction is, to this date, one of my favorite drum tones of any record.
Oh, Nick
ever.
Menza, I didn't know that. Wow.
I just love the drum tone.
I thought you should do Euthanasia was fucking awesome too. I'm a huge
Euthanasia
fan of
was
Euthanasia.
good. I wasn't as
Yeah.
into that. That was kind of like their Black album to me.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know because I'm coming from more of a mainstream metal kind of perspective. So I think for me that just a hit. I'm like, oh, these songs sound way more tight and focused. You
I don't
what
know,
mean?
like-
and it's like Marty Friedman ripping your face off every song too. I mean,
so good, so what.
That's
So
a
what
great
does that
record.
Tell you.
That's actually a great record, dude. Jeff Young's a monster. Jeff
Dude,
Young's a fucking great player.
I mean, that was an awesome record. Speaking of Megadeth, actually, I was just this last. I think it was right around the NAMM show. We were invited to go down and we played at.
now,
the,
quick, we is who?
This is Deconstruct.
Okay, one
Yes,
of the
we need
bands
to
that Tom
definitely
plays in.
dig
Yeah.
into that. Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, we got invited down to go, and we were going to go perform at the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame Awards.
Oh, very cool.
Nice.
And we ended up opening up for this band called the Kings of Thrash.
Yeah, that's what was. What's his name? Ellefson's in that, right?
Ellefson, and it was
Portnoy, right?
No, it was this was Ellefson.
Oh, Ellefson, Jeff Young,
and what's his Chris?
oh yeah, Chris.
the
the original guitar player.
Poland. Chris
yes,
Poland,
Chris
yep.
Poland, and then they had a couple other dudes in the band, and they did all Megadeth songs that night. So it was
Rad.
it was pretty cool to get
Yeah.
to see that. And then the next night we ended up going to the what was it, the Metal Allegiance show.
That's the one I'm thinking with Portnoy.
Yeah, it was
It's Skolnick's on
Portnoy,
guitar, right?
Skolnick. They had the drummer from Mastodon. I think the singer from Mastodon.
Very
Chuck
cool.
Billy. They had
Chuck
Bobby
Billy, oh my
Blitz
God.
from Overkill. Was
Very
singing.
cool.
Rad.
They had Gary Holt came out and did a few numbers.
Very cool. Numbers. Oh my God, were we like Frank Sinatra? Dude.
We're gonna play a couple
Hey
numbers
guys,
you
for
now.
this next number, gonna bring out an oldie.
I still call them albums, dude. Like, is your new album coming out?
Yeah, that's the album. Dude, that's legit.
We're gonna cut a new record.
Hey, I hope you guys had a good time. We're gonna come out this next number for you, girls. Grab your girls. See you today. You know.
But so I just thought that it's kind of funny that you mentioned the Megadeth thing because that was
I love to.
kind of a cool treat.
Megadeth's my favorite thrash band, but by far. You know what I mean? Testament's a hot number two on that one. But I mean, those guys are.
The favorites of metal for all time for me are pretty much Strapping Young Lad,
Nice.
Dan Townsend.
and Nevermore.
Yeah, Nevermore's amazing. I freaking love Nevermore. Nevermore to me is like an indefinable band. They're not really thrash. They're not really prog. They're not really power metal. They're kind of like it's sort of a weird brew of all.
Nevermore
those things.
is the first band and only band I think I've ever seen where because the first time I ever heard them was
This is Van Williams.
the
World
original
Dane,
lineup.
Jeff Loomis, yep.
So the first time I ever heard Nevermore was I went down to see Death at Berkeley Square. It was the individual Thought Patterns tour.
So this is probably like 95.
Nice.
It was right when I got out of high school, so
Yeah.
96, I think.
Yeah, okay.
And I go to see Death, and I'd never heard of Nevermore. So they were going to open the show, and Nevermore was so good that night that I literally went out the next day and I bought their CD.
Was that like Dead Heart and Dead World, or was that?
It was right about the time. What's that one? In Memory, I think is what it's called.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was before Dead Heart and a Dead World. It was even before Politics of Ecstasy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Politics and Ecstasy. That was one of their first
It's
records.
like a
but-
really long
yeah.
time ago. But I remember like they were so badass that I was just like, dude, who is this band? I got to go and get
That's
their
so
CD.
funny, man. 'Cause first time I ever heard of Nevermore was from you. I remember we were playing in 7 years together. And you're like,
Dude,
dude,
they
you got to check
killed
out this
it.
band Nevermore. I'm like, I've never heard of them. Check them out. And then, yeah, it's amazing.
But
dude.
it was crazy because like they were playing with Death. I mean, of all bands, like
Right.
technical mastery, but like,
Yep.
Dude, Nevermore is fucking badass.
dude, Nevermore.
I mean,
When you put them side by side, I mean, Death is no. I'm not trying to talk crap about Death at all because I love Death and
Yeah.
all. But Death was, they were good, but it wasn't. They didn't have the impact that Nevermore had. Like Nevermore was a little bit more controlled.
like polished, sort of.
More
yeah.
they were
Yeah.
just like tighter,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and it was like the impact that music had in that sense was just like being hit with a hammer.
Yeah,
dude.
I love Loomis's
They were
riff writing.
so awesome.
Oh, Jeff Loomis, yeah,
He's
monster
such a great
guitar player.
man. Absolutely. I mean, I love Death too. I'm not taking anything. I would never do that. That's amazing. There's like,
I think Jeff Loomis is doing some stuff with Graham Bonnet now.
Oh, really? I thought he was doing Arch Enemy or whatnot.
no, he's out of
Oh,
Arch
Arch
Enemy.
Enemy too.
He's out of that band now. He's actually back to. He's doing solo stuff now. You know what I mean?
It sounds like the standby for a quick technical break.
Okay.
I'm Optimus Prime.
Thanks for listening to Raw Guitar Confidential with Scott, Ryan, and Tom. Please make sure to like, rate, and subscribe. Now, back to the show.
Recording in the home studio. That's
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Well, then you send me
Okay,
the
we're
tracks,
back.
and then I put everything I on.
that's true. Oh my God, are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
So wait,
Yeah,
how much
I-
sacrifice to Satan do we have to do to make it?
Quite a bit, man. But
Okay, cool.
well,
I mean, as long as the lives lost are not ours. That's all.
yeah,
that
that's
matters.
fine. And you know, don't worry about the salt circle around the
Exactly.
table. That's
the
you know.
candles, should they be burning like that? Is that normal?
Uh,
Well,
Of course.
the candles are for me later.
Oh, okay.
Like never mind.
I don't know, unfortunately.
oh my God. So Jeff Loomis is awesome.
Yeah,
and
that-
Nevermore is also
so
awesome.
he was
so,
an arch enemy for a while, and then he's left recently. That band, he's doing a solo thing again, which is awesome. I love the
think
solo
he's.
thing.
I think he's doing some stuff with Graham Bonnet. I'll confirm that.
He did some solos on Graham's solo record. I
Is
think.
he not doing Arch Enemy anymore?
No,
Really?
No,
He's
he's
out of the
not,
band
yeah.
now.
he's out of the band. Yeah.
Huh?
Who's in Arch Enemy now?
Oh well, Mike Amat's the guy that does this everything.
The
Anyway.
Amat brothers
Yeah,
are-
yeah. Well, no, I don't think they.
It's just one
It's just the
Amat,
one, yeah,
not two
and
Amats.
the fucking unbelievably hot lead singer chick in that band. Oh my God,
In
Yeah.
which band?
in Arch Enemy.
Oh yeah, she's.
She is so
hot, yeah.
fucking hot. Oh my God.
It's part of the job description.
That's kind of a. Sorry,
Although
that's
that
kinda-
band was awesome, even when a dude
Yeah.
was like Burning Bridges. I remember
Look,
that was
they
a
had
landmark album
wasn't
for
Angela, the lead singer before, and she was great.
Was
Lately-
Angela Gossow, and then there was some dude before that.
Ginger lately.
Oh, okay, you're right. Remember, that's so funny,
Me. Yeah,
man.
Ginger's a great band.
Dude, they're so
yeah,
good, dude.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
They're
yeah.
they're way off the hook good, dude.
But
Yep.
you know who that Alyssa Glues chick is dating?
Who?
Is the guy from freaking The Misfits, the
Oh,
Von
oh.
Frankenstein guy? or
yeah,
whatever?
Wolfgang
Doyle?
von Frank
Yeah,
Doyle.
yeah.
Doyle, yeah.
That's her boyfriend.
No shit.
I no shit. Yeah. That's
Well, you know,
really-
all that weightlifting's paying off for old Doyle.
Don't pick up on his girl.
No, no
Just
kidding,
Get your
yeah.
ass beat down to a
Yeah, dude,
pulp.
he'll stab you with a guitar that he made out of raw metal.
Exactly.
All
I've heard
true
he's actually
story.
a super nice guy.
Is
Yeah.
that right? Okay, cool. Well, that's good to know. I mean, that's probably
Yeah,
why
I
she's
mean-
with him. So I mean,
He actually builds all of his guitars from scratch. He's a machinist by trade.
Oh no, kidding. Really?
Yeah, yeah,
No,
absolutely.
I just know, like, as I've talked to Joe from Deconstruct about it, and he used to do the Danzig thing.
oh yeah.
yeah, so
I
tell
guess-
us all about Deconstruct. You guys have been really active these last couple years, and that's awesome.
We've been on off for years now. But
Well, what's the people who
So-
don't know Deconstruct? Describe the kind of music that is.
Give us the whole history of
call it-
Deconstruct.
we label it as post-apocalyptic metal.
Okay.
Like, metal for the Road Warrior era, I
so
guess.
the people who are out in the
Nice.
wastelands and stuff. and,
Exactly.
yeah.
So it's kind of it's not
music
like,
to ride your motorcycle into the horde with.
we borderline on the heavy metal to somewhere over to the thrash side between there. It's kind of
It's got kind of a, to me, it's got a little bit of an industrial vibe to it.
a
you know what I
little
mean?
bit.
Yeah.
But we have a new singer now, and
Okay.
I really like the new dude. He's a little younger than the rest of us, but he's got pipes, and he's hungry.
Nice. Because you guys don't feed him. That's the rule.
Well, no
food for you.
Just that hunger.
Yeah.
It can be important that that people want it. you know?
Yeah, we talked about that a couple podcasts ago about
Yeah.
about
Too comfortable.
bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you can hear when they lose their edge after they get
Massively
famous
successful.
or yeah.
Well, Metallica's a great example of that. Like once you
Right.
conquered everything in the world, it's like, well, I guess.
Yeah, they've got
whatever.
nothing to be angry about.
Let's make the drums sound like coffee cans. How can we do
Oh
that?
my God,
Yeah.
dude! I was talking to somebody the other day about the Saint Anger drum tone. Okay, first of all, Saint Anger was the only album that not only one time but 2 times did I frisbee that thing out my window of a car. Like literally, I was on tour
So
one time.
offended.
We threw it in, and I'm like, I made it 3 songs in, and I pulled it out, and it went out the window of the
Yeah.
car, and then I was like, maybe I was a little harsh. Maybe I'll give it a second chance. And I was in my car the next time I threw it in. I made it like 3 songs in, and it went off the bridge at Hazel Avenue.
Nice.
Well, 'cause
yeah, every time you drop a can of soup in the aisle at the grocery store, you're like, oh, Saint Anger.
But I mean, it's like, dude, really?
But it says Metallica
I mean,
on here. It
what
says
were you
Metallica. It's gonna be something.
thinking?
Yeah.
They're so rich they don't have to be good anymore.
I think that's exactly right. Like
There's
Lars,
people
like,
who are going to buy their shit no matter what.
I'm going to fart into the microphone, and we'll.
Right.
Just,
I mean,
you know.
the rest of it was okay, but that snare.
No,
drum-
there was. Did you notice there's no guitar solos in the album?
Is there?
There's no guitar solos.
I don't.
on the
I
album.
never made it that
Yeah.
far. In, dude,
Kirk
to be
was
honest.
surfing.
I never,
Yeah, Kirk, he was busy. Like, I don't even know if he played on the album. He probably
Dude,
just,
I
you
read
know,
an interview recently where Kirk Hammett said he was really trying to he's really trying to emulate Angus Young with his lead playing now.
Yeah.
Angus is the one who really had it.
Yeah, well, Angus is cool. He does
He's
the one thing.
He's fine.
know what I mean?
He'll tell you he does just the one thing.
yeah, exactly. Well, he doesn't have to.
I
tell
never
me.
really thought much of the AC/DC guitar solos. Just like,
No,
I really
it's just
never.
they're all the same solo.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I was playing with this cover band a ways back, and then the guitar player is this really great guitar player. But I was talking to him about what he thought of the AC/DC solos, and he goes, the AC/DC solos are strangely simple, but there's a certain elegance and a couple of aspects that make it also at the same time very difficult to play the leads right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I could, because everything's like a pentatonic, like cliche or phrase. I personally would have a hard time making people believe it if I was playing it because I would not.
You'd be like, okay, it's the same old cliche, been done a million
It's
times. Yeah.
sometimes it's hard
Yeah.
to like make other people make them believe it, like play it with actual passion and when it's not necessarily like tickling your brain. you
Yeah,
know?
because you're just not making you excited about playing it. You know what I mean? It's
The older I get, the more I appreciate the genius of the AC/DC writing.
oh, of course.
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
my gosh,
Dude, how many
like,
massive hits does that band have? Like 15?
Well, you
I
can
mean,
dance to it. That's
Yeah.
the
it's not
secret
even
sauce.
just that. It's something about the simplicity is genius.
It's so rock
you
and
know?
roll. Dude.
Agreed.
That's what's so great about it. It's just so rock and roll.
Dude,
You know what I
Highway to
mean?
Hell
It's,
and Back in Black are essential.
Yeah.
There's so many though for those about to rock. You can keep going on.
I grew
mean,
up. I was the only
Yeah.
the only album I ever had of theirs was Who Made Who.
Oh,
I know what you mean. Yeah,
and I rocked the hell out
Hell
of that
yeah.
album.
yeah. That was on the soundtrack of what was that? Stephen
Maximum
King.
Overdrive.
Yes, that's right. The one
Emilio
that King
Estevez,
directed.
right? Yeah, Emilio Estevez is in that
That's
movie,
right.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Emilio.
Yeah, exactly. That was classic, man. I remember. Yeah, I've always loved AC/DC. Even when I was like a young kid who didn't like metal or rock, I was remember thinking
Yeah.
that band's great. You know what I mean? Everybody likes. I mean, that's just there's a reason they're one of the biggest
Dude,
bands
it
ever.
swings it. I always kind of think of them along with like Thin Lizzy. It's rock you can dance to because it
Yeah.
kind of swings.
Yeah, yeah.
Is this Thin Lizzy's Boys Are Back in Town?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Yep.
So anyway, but yeah, so the new singer of Deconstruct, what's his name?
His name is Ash. He's
He's famous for fighting the Evil Dead.
yes.
Or being a murderous android aboard the Nostromo.
That's true. Yep. All
And
those are true.
we also have a newer bass player. He's been in the band a little longer than Ash, but this guy named Bobby, Bobby Reel. He's a good bass player, good dude. I mean, all the band is really, for the first time, I would say the band feels very confident and like we're a solid unit. Like we know what we're
Everybody can
wanting,
pull their
you know?
own weight, sort of.
Absolutely.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that I think it's going to be interesting to see the new material. We're just now getting in the studio, making new stuff, and I'm anxious to see how it all works out because I think that the band's going to be a lot more solid and just it's more cohesive now. So
Dude, that's great, man. And Joe is a great guy too, man. always
great,
been
great
super
musician,
cool.
man.
Yep.
I've learned a lot of stuff about engineering from him over the years, and that dude's
Thank goodness, because it shows
everyone,
on everything you do, man. So
Absolutely, man.
Thank you.
That's really, really cool.
So yeah, so speaking of that, like so we talked about how things are getting kind of homogenous in the metal world, right?
Yeah.
But we do live in this digital age with digital audio workstations and plugins and stuff. What's your approach to producing and engineering?
Well, I'm kind of old school when it comes to tracking and stuff. Like I like to do stuff pretty dry, and all about the layers. Like if you want your heavy guitar tone, you're gonna duplicate your guitar tracks. You know, and you're gonna try to get them as close as possible to whatever the original track is, so it sounds tight and whatnot. But I guess I'm old school.
So
in
you
that
rely on
sense,
on the skill of the musician to play their part, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. I kind of like it when they can play their parts. Yeah.
That helps.
It's a novel idea. It's the first I've heard of it.
Right, I know, it's wild.
Yeah.
But like I've also had to at the same time you have to keep up with the Joneses, and you got to learn the new tricks of the trade over time. So I've over the years I've been refining my editing skills and doing all that.
So what's the biggest difference between so you produced our album a year and a half, couple years ago, right?
Yeah, but
for the most part, I pretty much let that one go naturally. I didn't really do hardly any quantizations or anything on that record, because like I said, to me the stuff from back in the day, it may not have been perfect.
Yeah.
The music back then, but it had something that they don't have now, and it's
There's a vibe.
The character and the little things that make like listening points, like that little drum fill that normally a lot of these new bands might just pull out or just quantize the living crap out of it and make it some crazy drum fill, and it's just like. But that's what gave music character back in the day for me,
Yeah, dude, right. I mean, that's what makes it what it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's what we wanted for the project, and I think it sounds great.
Yeah,
so,
I would argue that you did more than just nothing. I mean, the album sounds amazing.
Oh, thank you, man. No, a lot of that is you guys, really. I mean,
thanks.
most of it's you guys and the ability levels of the players and. Good, you had a great drummer on it. That's all. Like the first
Alex
thing.
Bosson.
One of the first things that really affects my take on how a project's going to work out is who's the drummer.
Yeah.
How's the drums sound? Because if it's going to be one of those things, I'm going to have to go and elastic audio every drum part in the song to make it all cohesive and make sense. That sucks, and I'm just kind of like,
And rock and metal, the drums are so important
but
too.
that dude's a great drummer.
Yeah.
Great drummer. He had killer chops. He was solid, and good drum tones. So it was just kind of like
great dude too. Yeah, he's on tour in.
He was doing Atrophy. Recently.
He's doing Atrophy. Yeah, I don't know when he's in South America right now. I know
that Atrophy's looking for a new drummer now, though. So
yes,
he must have some new project.
I think he's stepping away for family. I mean, I can't speak for. We'll have to have him on the program.
Yeah, we'll have
but,
him talk.
They just released that his other band, his prog band, just released something. I noticed.
Oh, Lunar.
Maybe he's doing that or something.
So, well, there is a Lunar album forthcoming. I know because I have a feature solo on a song. So I'm super. Yeah, there's a shameless plug there. But and then Helium Prime's doing some stuff too. Those are the projects that I associate with Alex primarily.
Okay.
But I do know there's a new Lunar album forthcoming.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
I don't really know him too well personally, but he seemed like a really nice guy.
Yeah,
very nice guy.
Good pro drummer. It's really, really great. Yeah, I think the key to the Ex Aegis thing is we just wanted to make an album we wanted to hear. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
It was an interesting one to engineer with the vocal part because it was a very uncommon sort of vocal thing. Like that wouldn't be. I just wasn't. You wouldn't expect to hear with that style of music a lot of the time.
Is that a female vocals, you mean, or
just not. But it's her vocal in particular.
Yeah.
She's got a very sharp voice. Mm-hmm. So I had to kind of there was a couple times I had to just get kind of creative to make things
rounded out a little bit.
Yeah. So it wasn't she was flying above the music where it wasn't blending.
Yeah,
in.
she's got that theater background thing. So
But she's like everybody in the band's all pro, so I mean it was quite easy to.
Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah.
To make it work. So.
Yeah, but that's
Well, we
very, very kind
appreciate
of you.
that.
And
And,
then I had
writing
my-
is happening on the next album too. So
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
Well, I had an incredibly important guest spot on the record playing the shaker.
That's true.
Dude, that may you know what you really
But you got some
influenced.
keyboards on there too. There's some keyboard parts on
Did
there.
I?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
There's some
even know,
keyboard
dude.
parts. Yeah.
Dude, you really influenced the way that I demo up my own stuff with like using shakers and tambourines so you can hear the top of the track.
Dude, it's a secret weapon to like almost every friggin' recording ever. It's,
Nice.
Dude, and now I hear it like everywhere too, where I didn't hear it before.
you know the Motley Crue thing? The Motley Crue trick?
So what is it?
Okay, so
Being
here-
terrible at singing.
Get a ghost singer.
It's an auto-
Get a ghost bass player. the secret is
Kick out the one
No,
member of the band that's
it's
talent.
session guys.
it's all about an auto tuner and sounding like a robot these days. But no, like so the old Motley Crue trick back in the '80s on Theater of Pain, Girls, 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 and Dr. Feelgood was come to find out they were using sugar packets, paper sugar packets. As shakers, if you listen back to all that old stuff from the '80s, you're gonna hear
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
thing.
like
It's
Girls,
like
Girls, Girls,
it's
I
like
can hear it.
It's like a, and it makes the hi-hat parts pump, and like it's weird, like how the effect. But I read that in an interview, and I was like, no way, dude. I'm like, this is just no way. So I didn't really have a sugar packet, so I grabbed like one of the little mini egg shakers.
Absolutely.
And if you cup it in your hand really hard, you can kind of make it subdued like that. And I threw it on a couple songs, and I was just like, dude, it makes so much sense now how where that sound and that drive in their old records was coming
That's the kind of
from.
thing you would never even notice too. You would be just
Yeah.
there, you know what I mean?
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't notice it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had no idea until like they're like, yeah, we used. Tommy came in with like sugar packets and was all.
Yeah, that makes sense. Again, I can just imagine Girls, 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 and I can hear the shaker. I can hear the sugar packet.
More than likely,
Yeah.
it was a bag of cocaine. that they were actually
Dude, most likely,
Hey,
absolutely.
Motley Crue sugar packet seems pretty tame. Like there's
and-
that's the
they were
story
sugar
they
packets.
had. you
That's
know?
right. Wink, wink.
Yeah, yeah.
And Vince wasn't trying to shake it. He was trying to hold it still, but it was still shaking anyway.
Why are these sugar packs from Colombia? I don't understand.
This isn't Splenda.
And they wrote Dr. Feelgood that day.
Exactly. So the story
Precisely.
goes. you know.
Precisely.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, man.
you know what's funny though? I'm kind of interested in your take on that. I mean, you're an amazing producer, man. Your ear's incredible. You have, and honestly, there's one thing I want to mention before we move on, because I want to talk about the music industry at the moment. But like, dude, some of the stuff that you did production wise that I think was so cool was like where you dropped stuff out, like the guitars
Yeah.
that come out or the drums that come out.
That's-
and that's stuff that we would have never thought about.
Addition by
What a
subtraction.
difference that makes when that happens. You know what I mean?
That's the dynamic aspect.
it's
you know,
so
like-
cool, and that's something that we would have never thought of. You know what I
And
mean?
even and a lot of musicians I found, like when they write their songs, they'll be kind of married to having everything there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to sometimes step back if you're the songwriter or involved in the songwriting process, to step back and go, there's just too much there
Yeah.
or something, and it's hard because like your little ego thing in your back of your head's going, no, I want my part in there, I don't want
Yeah.
that part in there, and it's like,
This is my big part. What are you talking about? You know?
but sometimes that's the real maker. Like your parts will actually stand out more
yeah.
if you let something have a little space before it comes in.
Yeah, that's something we talked about
Yeah.
before, like having that distance, not being so involved, that allows you to see more objectively.
Yeah, you can't be
Yeah.
objective to your
Yeah.
own stuff, right? So,
Yeah.
dude, you helped us out a ton with that.
Yeah.
Dude, you have no idea how like hard it is for me when I'm mixing stuff to like at the end of it I feel so far from objective at that point that I'm like I
You
have
can't
to, like,
tell what you've got anymore at that point.
literally, yeah. I'm like, I go, I don't know. Is this suck or is this good? I
Yeah.
can't tell anymore.
Dude,
so,
Yep, you got to bring another ear in, then you get defensive when they say this is terrible. Like, fuck you, you don't know.
my big thing when I'm mixing is this: I try to avoid having really anyone in the band around when I first start mixing,
Yeah.
because it's like I'll be working on a kick drum sound and I got the guitar player or bass player. Hey, can you turn that one part on the bass? And
that's so
I'm like,
frustrating.
Dude, I've honestly not even listened to what the bass is doing yet.
Yeah.
I'm working on a kick drum,
Yeah.
and everybody's wanting their ideas in, and it's just I'm not ready for it yet.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is get it somewhat in the ballpark of what I think it should be, and then then bring your comments and tell me what
Yeah.
sucks or what's good and like what needs to be done,
Yeah.
and then I'll totally ignore that. And
It's like, wow.
Well,
so
I mean, our process was pretty smooth. I mean, I don't think we had really any like. I mean, I hope we were easy to work with.
well,
yeah.
no, you guys were, and the thing is if you're trying to mix objectively, and you should be trying to mix for the greater good of the album. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like I don't try to focus on like just the guitar being the loudest and
focus,
forefront.
yeah.
Even though it makes you guys cry when I do that. But,
Yeah, that is always tough because you know, yeah.
No, I mean, but every time you had an idea, though, I remember listening to it, and Ryan was like, "Oh, what do you think about this?" I'm like, dude, it just makes it so much better. I would never thought of that. You know,
Absolutely,
it's
agreed.
almost across the board. Everything you did was like, well, that was not to give you too big of an ego, but
trust me, no, I know I suck.
And,
It's all good.
It's one of those things where it's like, oh, damn, that does make it better. Like a good example would be like the verse on Can't Wait.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
where it's just all bass.
Yeah.
The bass line I ripped off from
Boogie in the Butt.
from Boogie in Your Butt by Eddie Murphy.
Oh wow, that's funny. Wow.
Yeah, I'd have to play it for you later. Yeah. So
But I
the
mean,
bass,
that makes
yeah.
such a difference because
But
before
It's a Rick James
in your
bass line.
butt.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah, that's so funny.
So it's Rick James
Yeah.
playing bass.
Yeah.
So I ripped it off from Rick James, but it was
Bitch.
Boogie in Your Butt. Yeah.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yes, Vince Neil agrees.
I love that video. I love that video. I got more sense than to stick my feet on somebody's couch. Yeah, I put my feet on Eddie Murphy's couch.
All right, let's talk about the music industry though, and like surviving in the current times. You know, let's say like a 16-year-old like fresh-faced kid's like, man, I just want music to be my life. Like, what would you tell them about what the realities of it? You know what I
The
mean?
reality is, people are really good now, and it's gonna take a hell of a lot of practice to be like on the top. you
Yeah.
know? But at the same time, like I tell my son, like my son's starting to learn how to play guitar now.
Good for him. Yes.
I know he went to the dark side. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh really, dude? Come on.
Well, his name is Vi. So
Hey, I did.
Yeah.
His name is Bob. But he, I try to tell him I don't really push him to do it. He chose to do it himself.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
lately, like the other day, I was listening to him. I'm like, holy shit, he's starting to actually like be able to play.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, hey, dude, you know, we need to start jamming now.
Awesome.
Because that's when it becomes fun.
yeah.
And it's really, in the end of the day, it doesn't matter how great you are at music in general. As long as you are good enough to have fun with it, if depending on what your goals are.
Yeah.
If your goal is to be a professional musician, practice.
Yeah.
Practice a lot, because that's a little bit more of a tough field. you know,
Yeah,
but-
Competitive
I would say
field
this though:
still
it's,
was,
it's
yeah.
more about inspiration and about being an easy person to work with and a professional when it comes to being a pro musician. I think you have to have a certain level of proficiency for sure. You have to have, there's like a floor you have to be
Oh,
at.
dude.
But I mean, if you're a very creative person, look at Angus Young as a good example, like someone who's not going to blow anyone's doors off as a player, but his inspiration is there. You know what I mean?
the-
And that's-
or you could be a dude like Steve Brown, dude.
Yeah.
Steve Brown gets so many gigs. He's a great drummer, but
Are you talking
he
about
gets the
Mick Brown's
gigs-
brother?
Yeah, dude. But he gets the gigs because he's such a freaking nice guy,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
he's
you gotta-
such a nice dude.
That's what I
Like
mean,
people
so-
have to want to hang around you.
And being
you know?
a pro,
Yeah.
like be where you're going to be when you say you're going to be
Yep.
there. Do the work you say you're going to
Yeah.
do, and then be a professional musician too. That's like the
Yeah.
biggest key, I think, in all. But as far as I think, people have got to moderate what their expectations are financially when it comes to getting the music, especially in the rock world.
I don't even
Yeah.
understand how aside from playing gigs and selling merch, how are people even getting paid very much anymore?
They're not.
Yeah,
I
well,
know,
or
I mean,
teaching.
Yeah, I mean,
Teaching, yeah.
teaching, doing sessions. That
Yep.
even I can tell you, this person doing sessions, like, dude, it's like. It's much more hit and miss than it used to be. It's getting worse and worse every year because it's like people are just these quantized stuff. They get fake instruments to do stuff now.
Drum
Oh,
Kit
yeah.
from Hell, dude. Drum Kit from Hell was the beginning of the end for all drummers.
Keyboard.
What is
stuff,
Drum
too.
Kit from Hell?
It's
Expand on that.
or there's a few different programs for it. It's just program drums, you know. I
Yeah.
mean,
Is it kind of
and
an offshoot of Easy Drummer, sort of?
Easy
Yeah.
Drummer, same
Yeah,
difference.
yeah.
But basically, like what's going on now is you've got drummers laying their tracks, and then it gets all processed through Drum Kit or Easy
Everything
Drummer.
become triggers, basically,
And,
yeah.
they trigger everything up
Yeah.
and then quantize it, and it becomes. You might as well just use the drum machine by the end of it all.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So that's kind of why I think a lot of the studio musician thing is kind of starting to fall by the wayside.
Oh, it has been for 20 years.
Sure.
I mean,
And now you guys aren't safe anymore either.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Nope, there's programs that will do guitars.
There
yeah.
is.
And they sound very convincing.
Keyboards, and then AI is doing everything now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
we're
it's-
all in trouble.
Yeah.
AI, dude, I've really gone down that rabbit hole recently, and we are all in trouble, dude. Like, seriously, not just music, but the arts in general.
Yeah.
Right.
Movies, everything.
Well, we talked about this
Because-
before. We
yeah.
had like several podcasts talking about AI, and I think that really at the end of the day, we're all responsible for that. You know, the people, if they don't accept it, it's not going to be there. If people are happy having the Big Mac that's kicked out by the little machine, and that's all they care about, then they're going to get what they deserve.
Here's the problem with
You know
the
what I mean?
AI thing. It's getting really good.
Yes, I know. Yeah, yeah.
Like the word. I was listening to these songs the other day that are AI created, but like it's not even just the music's good. The friggin' words are so well written. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, the song was just. It was like a really stupid song too, that I was listening to. It
we
was
know all about those.
It was called
Yes.
"You
So-
Something in My." I won't go any
So-
further.
so check
and
this-
I was
so-
just the words are so good in it. I was like, how can you compete with this?
Yeah.
So
I mean, really?
here's my new favorite.
Human inspiration is the answer to that
Here's
question.
my new favorite AI artist. They're just like ABBA, but they're called Edda.
Edda.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to.
My dildo
Oh shit.
is made of wood. My great grandpa made it 100 years ago. Handed it down to his son. Now the fucking dildo is mine. I butter it up
Oh my god.
Friday night.
This is terrible.
Here comes the chorus. Someday.
It's not just a dildo, it's a symbol of love. A passed down treasure from my family roots. I hold it close and I cherish it a lot. My dildo is made of wood.
So that's what AI can do, folks.
Wait,
Yes.
no, dude. You
If that's all,
you really need to check. If you haven't heard this song, you should listen to it. It's called "You."
Oh yeah, dude. There's another one called
Dude, the
"Release
words-
My Anus." That is.
Dude, the words
wild.
on that song
I
are
wish-
so well written and
we've had-
cohesive. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
We need to make a treaty with the AI that they stick only to the anus-related songcraft.
But you know, in all seriousness, though, so like these are just guys on YouTube that are putting a prompt into like Museo or there's some other
Yeah.
subscription service, right?
Yeah.
So he's getting more clicks than X-Aegis will ever get.
yeah.
Right, and
Dude,
it's just AI nonsense, right?
We're all in big trouble. That's all
Yeah.
I can say.
Yep.
This the music industry. If they get holograms down for live
Oh, right.
performances,
Yeah, they already
we're
tried
all out of
running.
jobs.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
It's
Yep.
over then. So.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, because most like the kids and casuals don't give a shit.
yeah, but here's the thing: there's always going to be some cadre of hardcore people who are always going to be, you know, there's people who still like are, you know, horse and buggy enthusiasts these days.
Dude.
That's still going to happen. It's just going to be niche.
There is
Well-
a movement right now. That some of these young kids, they're doing the audio tape thing, cassette
Yeah.
tapes. They're
Exactly.
Yes,
doing
I've had some
demos
students
to
do
it.
that,
It's like,
yep.
What?
But that's what I mean. There's always going to be a niche and a spot for live musicians. It's never
I
gonna,
tell the
you know.
kids that do that, I'm like, you realize when we had cassettes, I lived that era.
yeah.
They were shitty then.
Yeah.
Right, 'cause you
Don't-
always
we were
fast-
happy for CDs to come along. You know, what I
Because
mean?
you'd fast forward through the stupid ass ballad, and then your tape would get uneven, and then it wouldn't sound
It would-
right.
It would
yeah.
have the tape wobble.
Right.
Yep. I can't tell you my 1984 Van Halen cassette that I bought when I was like 9. Dude, I still have it actually. I still have that thing. But I remember I just wore that thing out. Oh my god.
I came across some 7 years cassette tapes from 4-Track.
Get out of here,
the other
really?
day. I swear.
Oh,
dude.
that's so funny.
I don't have any way to play them because they're all the old 4-track cassette players. They did it at a high speed.
Oh,
so when
yeah,
you play
yeah,
it
yeah.
back now, it's like.
That's so. I think I know we have I have a CD somewhere of that demo we did. That
Really?
5-song one we did. That was.
Well, this is
pretty-
even predating all that. This
Oh
is
wow!
like,
This
we're
is for
talking.
this is for me in the band. This is
No,
before,
this is this is like the old Fostex 4-track
Yeah, I know.
cassette
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that's the era.
all the
I'm
original Scott
talking.
Allen Project stuff. stuff was done on the
Did
Fostex
we?
4. Well, no, I recorded the demos and then put
okay.
the SR16 drum machine on it and stuff, and then I brought it in to you guys, and then we did it for real. But
I
you know.
busted out the old Frank Hannon recording the other day.
Oh yeah, dude, that's Eyes Beyond Words. Yeah,
Yeah.
The first Scott Allen project album we did with Frank Hannon from Tesla producing it, and that was really cool. Man, he's what a great dude. We'll learn so much from him about how albums even got put together. Recording up with him, you know, it's.
Funny story about Frank. Check this out. This is.
I haven't spoken to Frank in years, by the way.
When I was a kid,
hope
man,
he's well.
I remember my mom and my dad one day. My dad goes, "Who's this Frank Hannon character? You know, he's like, he sounds like he's really doing stuff. You really need to go become friends with this guy." And I go, "Hey, Dad, nothing personal, but Frank Hannon doesn't give a shit who I am." I was like, he ain't gonna make. I'm like, "Hey, can I be your friend?"
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like
Just
so.
camp out in the shrubs out in front of his
So I
house.
blew it off. I blew it off, and like, lo and behold, 2 years later.
Yeah.
We're in his recording studio doing that recording, and I was
That's
just
awesome.
like,
Well, we did a bunch of shows with his solo band we like probably 5 or 6 shows. We did like the 2 Gary Hoey shows with him.
I did a
and
show
then-
about 6 years ago
Yeah.
with the Frank Hannon
Is
band.
that with Billy Rainey on guitar on that?
I believe Billy may have been playing guitar
okay.
that night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
Very
love
cool.
Billy
Frank's a great
Rainey.
dude.
What a great dude.
Oh yeah, Frank's super nice.
I remember, going in the studio and then recording my parts, and then him. It was real validation in a lot of ways for me as a guitar player because I respected Frank so much, but him being like blown away when I do a take or something like that, and like going, "Oh my god, that's so cool!"
I just remember being in the control room
Yeah.
and he was sitting at the board and I think Brian and I were sitting on the couch.
Brian, the
behind
bass player from Scott Allen Project.
And so you were playing some super shreddy, super fast thing, and I remember Frank turning around and going, "Wow, man!"
Oh, that's so cool.
and I just started busting up. So funny the way he said it, dude.
I didn't. I'm just in this too. Like, is that good? Did everyone like what I played?
It was just like lightning fast, shreddy stuff.
Yeah.
And he like turned around and he just had that look of like, "Whoa, man!"
That's great.
It was just but the way he made stuff sound, and I've had some demos before that, but I've never like been in a real studio with a guy who knows what he's doing, and like, okay, we're gonna do this now, we're gonna double that, we're gonna play that. Just like the way that he put stuff together was so informative to me. Like, oh, so this is how you really do it. Okay, this is good to see.
The beginning of
Yeah.
my many years of learning how to do studio stuff. That's,
Which you clearly
Yeah,
took way
great
more to heart
start.
than me. I just like focused on my guitar playing, but it's like one of those things that but that's incredible, man. That's such a skill, like understanding how the studio works. It's a dying skill because people don't do that shit anymore. Everything's done in a box now. You
Well,
know what I mean?
part of what I think was valuable for me was actually when I went to college and took classes for recording.
Mm-hmm.
That was happened to be right at the end of the analog era. So like they were in the
late 90s.
They
but,
were
yeah.
transitioning from tape to ADAT at that point.
Oh,
That's
wow.
that's how old I am.
ADAT. Yeah, I remember
So-
ADAT. Yep.
So ADAT they were in the middle of the ADAT transfer at that point.
Which is digital audio tape for anyone listening who doesn't know.
basically a VCR tape, more or
Right.
less. So basically, that I caught that tail end of the analog era where I was forced by my professor at that time. You got to go and he threw us on an 8-track reel to reel with like no plugins, nothing, just like straight raw audio style.
Yeah.
And I had to learn how to make things work like a physical compressor.
Yeah.
Or a effects unit and
Yeah.
things, and so
Yeah.
that's handy to know all that old stuff.
Well, all the new stuff's just a more convenient version of that same thing. The same
Exactly.
rules apply. You know.
Oh,
what I mean? It's,
don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the new technology.
Oh, yeah, awesome.
I don't like having to patchwork all my effects processors in and
Oh, no patch bays.
Yeah.
Ugh, yeah.
Dude, that's brutal doing
Yep.
that. It's super convenient to be able to just do it that fast. And,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat that.
yeah, you can
So-
save like this is what the freaking signal chain is and stuff. Everything's right there. You know what I mean? It's,
Yeah, I think the tough thing is, like I'm always getting hit with like marketing for new plugins. Like there's, the Kazrog True Iron Transformer Simulator, and
I'm a Waves guy.
yeah, I like Waves too.
Good old Waves.
Yep.
If you got the right Waves pack, you've got just about everything you'll ever need in that pack. They may have a slightly different packaged sort of look to some of these other plugins that the other companies make, but ultimately it's the same crap. You
Yeah,
know,
it's affecting the same frequencies and stuff. And
I mean, I got a couple of other companies of stuff that I like, but I don't really ever have much need to go outside of those particular brands of plugins.
right, you know, my attitude with it is, as long as my Neural DSP amp sims sound rad,
I want a neural. That's one of my new thing is I want a neural DSP.
I'm very close to, like, if Skip's Music picks up Neural DSP and gets the Quad Cortex, like, I'm gonna snatch the first one that shows up.
No, that makes sense, dude. That's,
Yep.
you know,
I did some recording with the neural over the past couple years, and dang, that thing sounds good, dude.
Yeah, all the amp sims we used on our album, they're all
X-Aegis is that,
Neural
yeah.
DSP. Yeah, it's all Soldano.
you know what
and
though? That
Fortin.
being said, my very favorite recorded guitar tone I've ever had in my life is the one we did for the upcoming Scott Allen project release, which is the lead tone on the cover we did.
Oh, you're
That-
talking about the PV65.
The 60. It was we did that was the 3120.
Oh, okay.
So the PV 3120. It's got the 6L6s and stuff like that. Man, the tone we did on Just Like Heaven for the solo, that sounds so badass, dude. That's like one of my favorite tones I've ever had.
Tell me how to do that trick.
Yes, guys, on the new Scott Allen project album coming out this probably going to be later this year. There's a cover we did. It's an instrumental cover of Just Like Heaven by The Cure, and the lead tone that's fucking sick. And it's
Hell yeah.
that's at 3120. I listened to that back. I'm like, God damn, that sounds good. I wish I freaking remember what I did.
You know what I've been doing recording with recently on this newest thing I've been working on, believe it or not? Blue Voodoo.
Oh my God, the Crate Blue Voodoo.
Oh,
blue-
Is that
geez,
Marty
the-
Gold one? Amp?
It's Martin's old
Wow,
Blue
so
Voodoo.
funny.
We call it the doo-doo.
I was gonna say used to call those blue doo-doos. Yeah, and dude, that's like the pawn shop special tube amp.
Dude, it's so great.
Wasn't that
but
basically
it-
marketed as like the Crate version of the JCM 900? That's basically
Well, it was just a crate with tubes in it because we were all pissed that crates were all like, I had to sell those as a guitar player. Dude, if there is a hell, I'm going there because I used to take people's hard-earned money, and in exchange for that hard-earned money, I returned to them a crate amplifier for years. I've been doomed since I was
There is
a
a special,
teenager.
but dude, if it makes you feel bad, Billy Gibbons is going there too. So is Mark Kendall. A bunch of people are going there.
Dude, one time I was like, this is maybe 20 years. I think it was my first tour of duty at Skips. Like a customer, well, I had to have internet access. So anyway, a customer was asking about Crate amps, and so I was clicking around the Crate website, and I guess Mark Kendall was a Crate endorsee at the time,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
they had the hyperlink for his website, markkendall.com.
Yeah.
I clicked on it, and it was porn.
Yeah.
So you could go shopping for a Crate amplifier and end up with
Yeah. Learning a life-
Backdoor Sluts 9 or something.
Learning a
Jenna,
valuable
Jenna
life lesson.
Jameson's pushing the new Crate.
Yeah, that would have been the Jenna Jameson era, I believe.
But dude, Billy
yes.
Gibbons had a signature Crate amp for a while. Billy Gibbons.
Really?
Yeah. Oh
Well,
yeah.
just goes to show he always
For
sounds
his
like Billy.
harmonica?
Say what?
Did he just use it for the harmonica
Oh, I have
or what?
no idea, dude.
Right.
I remember seeing Crate. What?
Well, okay, so Crate's one of those
Like-
companies that would have guys on the endorsee list, but
Yeah.
they would never actually play them.
Use the actual amp.
Right.
Hey, we'll give you some cash. Just like show it with a picture with this in front of you.
Yeah,
But,
that totally was that kind of thing.
I remember
Yeah.
Jeff LeBar, like you used to play with him, and it was
Yeah.
a freak show, right?
Yeah, Welcome to the Freak Show.
Yeah. I remember he when I was a little kid, he was in the Crate ads and stuff. And I remember going to the Guitar Player and saying, "Oh my God, they had the amps like the ones Jeff LeBar from Cinderella uses."
Those were not crates. They were not crates.
No, I mean, these Marshall Plexis and shit, right?
They
Right.
were
Yeah,
Marshall,
yeah.
They were Marshalls and
Yeah,
no.
everybody in that time period used the same amps. But they all said they wait. I remember Red Beach was saying he was playing. What would they call it? Oh my God! There's like some horrible. What's the one with the Wright brothers? What the hell is it called? Oh my God! Where'd the Wright brothers fly at?
The Kitty Hawk.
Kitty Hawk,
Yeah.
Kitty Hawk amplifiers.
Oh, no.
I remember, and then I remember talking with Reb a while back, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I use Marshalls forever."
Hey, I have to say something to you, Scott.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Many years I gave you shit about your belief system of Winger.
Winger's rad, dude.
I'm sorry
Of
because
course.
I realized that you were on point recently. I was sitting there.
I've
listening,
never not been on
and
point.
some Winger came on the radio, and I was like, "Son of a bitch, Scott was right.
Yeah,
It's really well made
These
music.
guys know how to fucking play." God
everybody in
damn
that
it.
band is
Dude,
awesome.
Rod Morgenstein.
Everybody in that band is fucking awesome.
Oh, they're
You know what I
awesome
mean?
players,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not just that, but like when I listened to it like real close, I was like, holy shit, these riffs are awesome,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
And like I was like, Scott was right.
And then the solo is even better than the fucking riffs. You know what I mean? And I mean, everything about that band is next level. They're fucking amazing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I've said it many times that this is actually going to turn into a major theme along with Louis Short Studs.
Yes.
Is that, you know, if they didn't have an amazingly great looking dude as their lead singer, that's what fucked them, is that he looked like ridiculously good looking.
Right,
Although
'cause
I will
everything
say
had to be
this.
He's a
dirty,
soap
yeah.
opera actor.
I will say this:
You know.
Stuart Winger sucks. Okay.
Dude, I've always felt strong and like I had like high ground on that. Like, okay, come at me, brah, even before no one said that. You know,
Dude,
it's
no,
like-
no, I admit it now. I was wrong for those years. I just gave you a hard time about the winger thing. But like the other day, I was so just like, for the first time in years, I had really paid any attention to what I was hearing, and I was like, holy
Dude, listen to the
cow.
outro to Rainbow and the Rose, and listen to what's going on with musically. You know what I mean? It's
Rainbow and the Rose.
Yeah, listen to the outro of that
You
song.
lost me already.
Isn't
Dude.
that on the second album?
Yeah, it's fucking awesome, dude. It's incredible. I mean, it's just musically, you don't hear that shit on like a hard rock record. You
Well,
know
and
what I mean? It's,
and there's a documentary on Paramount Plus about that era of music, right? And Kip Winger features heavily.
yeah, that makes sense.
He talks about just like how hard he had to work and how uncompromising he was to get that first Winger album made.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Is he a
and now
really
he
great bass
composes.
player. I don't really know much.
He's a
about his
great
bass.
musician. Period.
He composes
so,
like
yeah.
orchestral music.
Yeah,
now.
what
Like,
I was
orchestras
trying to
play
figure
his
He plays
shit.
keyboards and piano like a virtuoso. So he's
So,
like,
he's a super badass.
yeah, he's also
Yeah.
a great singer, an amazing producer, incredible
He's-
player, performer.
I hate guys
best
like
looking
that.
dude
Dude,
you've
well,
ever
you know
seen
what?
in your life. I mean, it's like
He's the anti Kurt Cobain.
yeah, he's all talent. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
there you go.
Yes.
and he's not a douche either, which is actually kind of surprising. You think,
Like I
that-
said, he's the anti
Yeah, I
Kurt
guess
Cobain.
you're right. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's funny when you said Stewart. I actually talked with Reb maybe 2 years ago, and I remember I was talking like, "Hey, man, even back in the day, I had your guys' back. I was always fucking repping. I don't care. It was 98, 99.
Were you repping or
And then
were
he
you
said to me,
repping?
He goes, "Oh, you were just like Stewart." I was like, "That's right, Reb.
That was perfect.
You're fucking welcome for having your back through all those
Hell
years,
yeah.
dude. You know what I mean?"
And
Yeah.
shit, I mean, like, really, you'd rather be Stewart than Beavis or Butthead.
Yeah.
Things haven't worked out so well for those
Oh
guys.
my god.
Winger sucks, Beavis.
But you know what though? I remember that time. I mean, I've talked about this on this podcast many times, but I just remember feeling like I was taking crazy pills. That whole from like '94 to like 2002. Like, what is going on? Like, why is sucking now the thing? I don't get it.
Dude.
You know what I mean? It's
I can't say anything. I like Wasp.
Oh, I love
fucking
Wasp.
awesome though, dude.
I mean, I mean, come on now. I mean,
Wasp is a
I
killer
can't-
band.
I have no room to say shit about anybody when
Yeah.
when I was a big Wasp fan.
Dude, there's
bro.
Dude, I had a student graduate high school this year, and he was getting sucked into performing at his graduation. And I'm like, dude, like, what song do they want you to play? And it was
Fuck like a beast.
Dude, it was
Love
some,
Machine.
it was some like God, whatever. It was like a Sarah McLachlan. It was some sappy, fucking awful song. And I told him, dude, you need to play "I Want to Be Somebody" by Wasp.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
the song we did as an encore with when I was playing with Jeff LeBar in
Yeah.
Welcome to the Freak
Oh,
Show.
nice, nice.
We would end the show with "I Want to Be Somebody."
That's a
every night.
great fucking song, dude. I used to play that in a cover band with Mark Miner.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's
By
a
the way,
great
his
song.
band Nevian is fucking awesome.
Nevian's fucking great. Yeah, we got to have Mark on the program.
Yeah.
My
Have you
favorite
checked out?
of
Dude, you
the-
heard
of-
Mark's band, Nevian?
Oh, yeah.
That's fucking great. I saw him
the-
open for Hammerfall not too long ago. It was,
The one that really got me with Wasp though is "Love Machine," man. That song
Oh,
is so fun
yeah.
to play. Like I'll jam that out with a couple of my buddies.
Well, that's anthemic, dude. That's yeah.
You know what? I remember not really paying much attention to Wasp, but then I remember I saw, was it Wild Child came on like some MTV-ish thing, and I was
Yeah.
like, that's a killer too. What great hooks!
I mean,
This
dude, he
great
had a
solo.
saw
I mean,
blade codpiece.
Yeah,
What more do
exactly.
you want?
Dude, that was actually a moment in my life that was like very pinnacle. Actually, was when I was playing back in the day with Lux. We got the spot opening for Pissing Razors and Wasp at the Maritime Hall.
Rad.
Yeah, I
And
told
I
you.
remember,
Yeah.
I remember Aaron for
Yeah, yeah.
7 years, and we were way up at the back of because they had the upper portion.
This is
of-
after you guys did your set, right?
yeah, we had already, and
Yeah.
Pissing Razors had played. So I'm sitting up there with Aaron at the very back of the Maritime Hall, and right as Wasp was coming on, and I remember they came out, the sign lit up on fire. He comes out with the cock, and
Yeah.
he starts shooting like sparks and flames from his piece, you know. And I remember thinking, I looked at Aaron and I went.
He needs to see a urologist.
And I look at yeah, definitely.
Hey, do you suffer from Peyronie's disease?
So I look over at Aaron and I go, dude, how fucking cool is this right
Yeah.
now? I just opened. Wow.
Yeah.
That's the fucking rad.
But
Dude.
I mean, it was earlier on in my career, but it was just such a moment. I was like,
Yeah.
hell
'Cause that's what this is all
this
about,
is
dude,
so
yeah.
bitching right now.
I had
That's
the-
awesome.
I had the same exact feeling when we opened for Steve Morse. I remember thinking the same thing, like, man, that we fucking just played a show for Steve Morse. That's amazing. You know what I mean? It's,
Yeah.
I'm just having that same vibe. I know exactly what you mean, man.
The ultimate
Yeah.
ass whooping of any opening though we've ever got.
I would argue we've
Aristocrats.
never had our ass
Dude,
whooped
the
at-
Aristocrats were such
Oh, Guthrie
a-
Govan. Oh, my
They
God,
were so
yeah.
hard to open for, dude. They're so freaking amazing.
Yeah, on
They are a
another
great band.
level.
I mean,
yeah,
as,
man.
as a unit, I mean, I can't think of like.
We did a
A
show,
three-piece
guy, it must have been like
that's just-
6-7 years ago with the Aristocrats. I want to say that was, maybe it was not, I don't know how long ago it was, but that
Dude,
was so awesome.
it's
yeah.
like watching magic. when they
Aristocrats, if
play
you guys
live,
don't know,
dude.
that's Guthrie Govan on guitar, Marco Miniman on drums, and Brian Beller on bass. It was supergroup, instrumental supergroup. You know?
Yeah.
Yep, and we got the opportunity at Scott Allen Project to open for those guys. That was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Another cool moment was when we played down in Hollywood at the Whiskey that
yeah,
one time.
with Planet X. That was
with Planet
really-
X, and what's his name? Virgil Donati was supposed to be playing drums that night, and he was late. So they go, "Hey, you want to go up there and sound check?" So I'm up there, and I'm up
Nice.
there, and I'm playing, and I'm like, this guitar player guy.
Tony McAlpine, by
I
the way.
didn't know it was him. I didn't know it was him.
Yeah.
He cut all his hair off. He was bald, and
Yeah.
I'm like playing with it. I'm like, fuck, this guy's good.
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me. I'm like, holy shit, that's Tony McAlpine.
That's so cool.
Well, Derek Schrinning on keyboards, man. Actually, it's funny. Derek played on the last two
Yep.
Scott Allen Project releases, and I remember telling him, like, "Hey, dude, we opened for you guys with the Whiskey at Planet X, like that's like 2000 or something." He's like, "I have no memory of this."
Actually, the coolest time I ever saw Dream Theater was with
Yeah.
Sharanian at. I went to the Edge in Palo Alto.
Oh, nice.
I saw Dream Theater from like.
That's probably Falling Into Infinity album, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and I was like 5 feet away from
Yeah.
Portnoy, and I was just like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!"
Were you guys were you
That's
playing on that
awesome.
set? Were you on that bill or
No,
Oh,
it
okay.
just I went down with a couple of my friends, and dude, talk about intimate. The Edge is not a big club,
Yeah.
and yeah, way cool. It was they considered it was Sharinian's birthday.
Oh, cool.
And they were doing it as a kickoff, like kind of like a warm up to the tour that they were about to head out on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it was very loose.
Yeah.
And
Not like a
intimate.
hardcore show or
Just
anything, yeah.
shaking out the rust.
This
Oh,
is
dude.
back in the day before they had massive production too, so they probably weren't even running tracks or anything
Oh,
like
dude,
that.
it was so
yeah,
killer. They
yeah.
were so killer that night.
Well, Derek's a
That's
monster
cool.
keyboard player, dude. He's such. Not only is he a great keyboard player, but he's so versatile, and he's got like the ballsiest keyboard attack I've ever heard. I mean, he's the only keyboard player that plays like a guitar player. You know what I mean?
he uses that Hammond B3 sound a lot. And
Yeah, but when he goes to
Sick.
the Nord for the leads, man, he gets like a Van Halen meets Yngwie kind of tone. It's incredible, dude. It's I freaking love it. So he's the greatest ever, man. I love Jordan Rudess as well, and then Kevin Moore too. But Jordan Rudess to me is a little bit more tame, I would say, than Shrinian. Shrinian's a little bit more like a beast, like pulling at the lead, wants to get loose. Whereas Jordan Rudess is much more of a controlled kind of
Yeah,
player. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Not that he's
Man.
any less brilliant. He's amazing, but Derek's got this gonna fly off the freaking.
Who's he playing with these? Is he still doing?
He's playing Black Country Communion still.
Is he also still doing Billy Idol?
He's touring with Billy Idol. Yep,
Oh.
yep.
God,
And then-
that's a good gig.
Oh, for sure, dude. I
Nice.
mean, what a great band too. Steve Stevens and Derek
Yeah.
Shrinian.
Steve Stevens
I mean,
is great. Yeah.
Well, then
that's-
he also got what's his name on drums.
Oh, I don't know who's playing drums for Billy
what's
Idol.
his name? Brian Tishy.
Oh, Tishy's playing
Oh,
drums with Billy
right.
Idol. Wow,
Yeah, he's been
that's
doing Billy Idol for years.
wow, that's
now.
cool. Billy Idol's great, man. I got
Oh, yeah.
nothing but good
Tishy's
things.
a great drummer.
That's a hell of a band, dude.
Yeah,
I
dude.
mean, that's-
Tishy did some Whitesnake albums. They're great.
did a bunch of lights. He did
Yeah,
two with like
ton of
10
stuff.
years or something like that. You know?
Yeah.
He also did the what was it? He was with the early incarnation of Black Label and
Oh, was he really? Yeah.
I believe
Huh.
so. He was one of the first.
It was him and
dudes-
James Lomenzo, right?
From what I understand, from what I remember, he was one of the first dudes to do the Black Label. It was like that transition from Pride and Glory to Black Label. I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
that's another killer band. I mean, there was like these glimmers of hope in the late '90s of greats. Like Pantera was still there. You know, you had Dream Theater. You had Black Label was merging and stuff like that. There's a few really good bands.
Yeah, and it's a thought that I had, and again, since we're all about the same age, same generation, about the whole like getting back to like the winger versus the horrors of the grunge apocalypse thing. I think that like one of the things that really hurt about the grunge apocalypse for guys who actually practiced and tried to be good at music,
or great.
like that's the first time that you kind of subconsciously realize that music's not the product.
Yeah. And people don't care if it's good or not. It's like, what does this make me look like or feel like, or am I with the in crowd if I say I like this stuff?
Yeah, music's
Yeah.
not the product.
I remember it's funny. I remember feeling really crestfallen about that too. I remember thinking like I thought everyone loved Dokken and the Scorpions and Van Halen and Winger and Whitesnake because it was awesome. I didn't think they loved it just because. I didn't think they just loved it because it was like the cool thing. That was what was happening at that time. I thought
It's,
they loved it
it's
because
the
it was
image,
great.
it's the fashion, it's the fantasy.
But it's also
the-
awesome though. It's great music. I thought people loved it because it was great music.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I didn't
well, me
realize
too.
that it was like, oh, just because that's the thing to be into right now is that.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was heartbreaking to me. And it's kind of like a real. Like I lost a lot of optimism, which is crazy. I'm a pretty optimistic person, but I lost a lot of optimism about humanity at that point.
I
You know what
understood.
I mean?
I understood the grunge thing. I mean, I understood where it was coming from. It was backlash for the '80s
Being
virtuoso.
amazingly awesome, incredible.
Yeah, the virtuoso.
Yeah.
Well, and the
player
image
thing.
and the production, it was just like everything's going to be poorly. Well, actually, it was like the first, not the first, but Nevermind was produced by Butch Vig. He produced the fuck out of it until like Cobain could become listenable.
Dude, all those. If you there's a video of what's that guy? The one dude. He's a podcaster guy.
Joe
on
Rogan?
YouTube. No, he's a YouTube guy. The gray-haired guy. He plays guitar.
Oh, Beato.
Beato.
Yeah.
He does a special about the guy who mixed all those '90s records, like Stained, Nirvana.
Pearl
It's
Jam,
not. It's not.
Limp
Is it
Bizkit.
Butch Vig or is it?
No, it's
who
the
is
guy.
It?
It was the guy who I think I want to say his name is like Andy something. Andy Wallace, but that's like he's a
Andy, son of a bitch.
yeah. But this guy is the guy who mixed all those records, and it was super interesting to find out that guy, like Beato goes through a whole thing where he goes, so check this out, and he puts on like 3 or 4 different songs from these different bands, and he goes, listen to the drums right here, and you listen to the drums, and they're all slightly distinctly different sounding, but he proceeds to say at that point that mixing guy uses the same sample set on all of those records from the 90s. There was a sound from that era because this guy was the guy mixing everything.
Yeah. He
That's-
decided
that's-
that's what the sound was going to be.
And
Wait,
that's a big part.
but I thought the grunge era was about being raw and real,
Yeah, and unique and weird.
dripping with sarcasm.
Yeah.
Well, this guy, you would be shocked to see his resume. I mean, the amount of albums that this dude mixed it was mind-boggling. I had no idea.
It reads like a demon's resume.
No, see, I like demons. Don't be so hard on demons.
Here's what I would say though. This is my take on this, and I don't think we've ever talked about this. Is I feel like in the '90s, the rock stopped being a fun time. It stopped being cool. Stopped being the happening thing. It became like the refuge of like weirdos and like I'm so weird and twisted and you don't get me and no one understands me. This kind of thing.
Well, or fake weirdos.
Well,
People that aren't. It's about squares acting
that's
like they're
the
weirdos.
aesthetic that became popular.
Right,
And
right.
My
Punk-
theory is that nobody wants to be that kid.
But it was
nobody
new
wants to be
punk.
the weird kid. I know, but no one wants to be the weird kid that no one understands. People want to be the place where like all the cool people are and the hot chicks are, which is why country kind of took over at that point. You know what I mean? Because like,
But now the weird little kid is the one getting the chicks, so I don't know what to say now.
Well, I mean, no, but here's the thing. But after that, rock basically just ceased to exist as a mainstream kind of music. It became increasingly niche to the point where now it's essentially irrelevant to the mainstream.
Dude, honestly,
Yeah.
when I hear what the most popular forms of music are right now, it's almost disheartening to hear some of the stuff that people are listening to now. I mean,
Shows you the lack of
Yeah.
standards that people who are listening to music have. You know what I
it's
mean?
that, or it's a lack of any kind of exposure to anything good.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Right.
Ironically, you've never had the opportunity to listen to more kinds of music at any given time. There's never been a time where there's more music accessible. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had friends, have their kids sign up for guitar lessons, right? And very early on, it's, I'm having a conversation with the parent about, you've got to expose your kid to some better music. It doesn't need to be something that I like. I mean, dude, if you like Stevie Ray Vaughan or something, have them watch that. Whatever it is, just like anything, right? Don't show them, expose them to music you think I'll like, but your kid has no personal connection to music.
yeah. It's just they play guitar as you told me I have to play guitar.
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that they couldn't, but somehow in your family, this kid has not been exposed to music.
You know, I always wonder too with a lot of the newer bands is that who are the fans of these guys? Because like all the kids I come across, and it's just self-selecting sample, they're really into the old stuff. They want to play AC/DC or Iron Maiden or Metallica or Guns N' Roses. That's what they
Yep.
want to do. And I told them about these new bands that go, haven't you heard of Periphery? Haven't you heard of Polyphia? About Chon? All these other bands? Like, I've never heard that. I'm like, you're 17. How do I know this and you don't know this? You know what I mean? It's like these are bands that are more your generation. Though. Why don't you know these bands?
What's kind of
but
weird,
they want to learn all the Iron Maiden stuff. They want to learn all the AC/DC stuff.
Right.
You know
That
what I mean?
stuff's gonna-
Which is great, but that
makes our jobs easy.
What does that say about the next generation of metal fans? Who are those fans? Who are they reaching? You know what I mean?
They're in Europe.
Well, partially that, but a lot of those kids are like weirdo United States kids. But they're just like niche-y. There's not like a ton of people there. And there's actually, I've noticed the shelf life in a lot of these bands has become very short. Like they'll be big for like a minute and it goes away.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
No, it's because there's so many of them now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with what's going to be the next big thing.
But you know what would make it easier though to bring this conversation full circle? Having awesome songs. If you had unforgettable songs, then it doesn't fucking matter whether your moment came or go because you're going to still have an awesome song. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
the thing that's the difference. The reason that we love Metallica is because they had great songs. The reason we love, the Bee Gees or ABBA or Fleetwood
King
Mac
Diamond.
or King Diamond or Van
Merciful
Halen
Fate.
is because they had great songs. That's the thing that we think about. One of the biggest tours this last year was Def Leppard. You know what Def Leppard has? Like 15 amazing songs everyone wants to hear over and over again.
which is
You know
pretty
what I mean?
poppy by rock standards.
Yeah, but still, that's the reason. It's not because they're the
Yeah.
greatest musicians or the coolest image. It's because they have great songs. That's the thing that's missing. I don't know. Sorry, I'm getting soapboxy here.
No,
but it's true. It's true. I agree.
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
mean,
with
that's
the-
true. The
Well,
thing, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the thing that's kind of weird to me is that all these legacy bands, when I was a kid, I was listening to like rock and roll is supposed to be the language of rebellion, right? So like I listened to stuff like Iron Maiden because it like scared the people. It scared my parents.
That's your fun sweet spot. Though,
it is.
Chris.
Well, dude,
Yeah.
remember the Satanic Panic?
exactly.
I miss
Dude,
it.
I was talking about this exact topic this morning. My friend and I were talking about the first Slayer record we had.
Yeah, it scared the shit out
I
of the
bought
adults.
"Haunting the Chapel" from a swap meet in San Francisco when I was like 11 or something, and I had to hide the album from my parents because
Yeah.
I was like, oh, if they see this, they're gonna take this away.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
I bought Show No Mercy on the way home from like a church youth group trip. And that's the one with like the dude in the
Wow.
swords and the goat's head and like the Slayer pentagram and stuff. And like, I mean, I didn't hide it. I was like, hey, chaperone, can we listen to this real quick?
He's like, dude, put it on. Fuck yeah.
Oh, I guarantee that shocked a couple people.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, it did. And I used to love that, dude. But now the kids who are listening to these legacy bands, they're learning about it from their parent. They're not rebelling against shit.
Well, that's another topic because kids nowadays don't have any interest
They
in
think
rebelling
that
against their parents.
shit's
They
cute now.
Yeah.
Not only that, but like, why would you rebel against your parents? That's your freaking sugar daddy right there.
You
Like,
can-
that's how they're paying for my food, my where I live.
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
I mean,
it's
my
like-
parents took
yeah.
care of me, but I rebelled against
Yeah,
them.
not in your mid 30s though. You know what I mean?
Well, I
It's-
mean, yeah, I was
Yeah.
a self-sufficient adult by
That's
then.
You know,
right.
it's
Yeah.
funny. We a couple years ago we got my son this T-shirt for Christmas, and because his thing at that point was I don't care. So we got him a T-shirt that says "I don't care," and we gave it to him for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
Ah, that's fucking great.
Raising them right. That's what it is. That's what it is. You know what I mean?
It's like you're at Kohl's and you're like, I don't care, or this Slayer T-shirt.
So like the other night he was copping an attitude, and I was like, "Go get your shirt on."
That's fucking great. I love that.
You know what's funny? I really do think that's interesting that your experience shaped you so much, Brian, about that, like about the wanting to have something that was shocking to like the church people and stuff like that. Because I grew up essentially with no religion whatsoever in my life whatsoever.
Yeah, you're
So-
the most Boy Scout guy I know.
Yeah, well, the funniest thing too, though,
Yeah.
is, but I would be into the band if they were awesome. I don't care what they stand. I don't care if they're satanic. I don't care if they're Christian.
Yeah,
I
I
love
agree.
Stryper
Sure.
and
Dude,
I
I
love
love
like that.
Stryper, too,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? It's like I think it's all good as long as you're awesome. That's all I care about. You know?
Well, totally. It's just as a 13, 14-year-old, it was like, oh man, my parents hate this shit, so
But
that's great.
Can
right?
I get some credit here though? Like it was not a cool thing to be a huge Winger fan in like 1996, but I said,
Oh, no.
"Fuck you! I'm a huge Winger
You're
fan."
right. It's,
I
well, it's the
can
same
see that.
thing.
Yeah,
You
stuck to
stick
your
to your
guns.
guns.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuck to your
exactly.
guns.
I don't give a
That's
shit
right.
what you think. You know what I mean? That's pretty rock and roll right there.
Well,
you know what I mean?
that's rebellion.
Yeah.
You're rebelling against the status quo.
Well, I'm rebelling
rightfully
against
so.
mediocrity.
My
That's
whole,
what I think. Yeah, I mean,
my
that's-
whole thing with when I was growing up was I wasn't trying to rebel. I was always looking for the power. I
Yeah.
loved
Yeah.
the power of metal and I
Yeah.
loved that effect that it had. That it was just like it would just.
And the fact
blow
that it was
you
kind of
away.
a little
Yeah,
bit
it-
dangerous too is probably adds to that.
Yeah,
little
well,
bit.
because when
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
a kid, you have no power.
Yeah.
right? You're dependent on, your parents or adults in general, and
Yep.
you don't have any responsibilities. So yeah, that's part of why metal, I think, is appealing to young people, you know?
Why do you think it's appealing to 60-year-olds though? Like, is it because of the going back? Because we went.
Well, because it's the music of their youth.
yeah, I think that's what it
Yeah,
is.
it's awesome,
yeah, it
right?
comes down to like this.
I
is something-
still to this day find Strapping Young Lad relaxing.
Totally.
I don't know how, but I do.
Fuck yeah, I
But
agree. I
Devin
get
said he's
that.
not doing that band again. By the way, they asked him about like, would you?
Devin?
Yeah.
Do us all a favor, do Strapping Young Lad one more time.
Or at
Come on
least
now.
do strapping old man.
Yes.
Oh,
You know?
strapping
Yeah,
middle-aged man.
I can see him doing something like
Hanging
that.
old lad.
Kind of a bit of a crick in the back. That's the first track, you know. my
sagging old
sciatica's
lad.
acting up, you know. Wow, this doesn't feel as invigorating as I remember this being. That's
Saggy old, the next it's going to be saggy old lad from
Yeah, that's
right on,
funny.
dude.
But-
So yeah,
Is there hope though for the young bands? Do you think?
Oh, dude. Well, with AI, probably not. But
yeah, the
but
equation's different.
if we ever get knocked back into the Stone Age by an EMP, absolutely.
Yeah, I think the big thing now that's different too is that when we were growing up, all the musicians, like you were saying about Frank, like Frank's not going to give a shit about me, like all the guys that I looked up to were like fucking superheroes, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have Marvel's Avengers.
The idea of looking-
we had
yeah.
Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen and Yngwie. Like
Gods
those
who-
guys were
yeah.
larger than life,
Yeah.
right? Nowadays, it's all about, and this is what's tough, for me with Ex Aegis is that you've got to be accessible to fans and communicate with them often, and they want to have access to you as personally to some degree. Again, music's not the product.
Yeah.
It's the whole the dude with the tattoos on his face, Post Malone.
Oh, Jelly Roll. Oh, okay, it's supposed to be-
Whichever one, right? It's like
They're not the same person.
I think Jelly Roll ate Post Malone.
Oh,
Dude, he's doing fucking commercials for like Amazon and shit. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah,
You know
so
what I mean?
now it's just about people that are on like social media, TikTok, whatever, and
It's
they
people
want
who
to.
would have been on The Voice like 10 years ago or something like that. But they
Yeah,
have, like, a
they just want to
TikTok.
be
Yeah.
your friend,
Yeah, yeah.
and like I don't want to be friends with it. I want people to listen to the music and dig it. I mean, not that like I wouldn't be. Your
They're
friend if you were in my
appreciated and
life,
stuff. But it's
yeah,
like, yeah, this is I wasn't thinking about being friends with Jimmy Page. Like,
I don't want to
wow, I
respond.
got this Led Zeppelin physical graffiti. Let me just hit up Jimmy Page and see what he thinks.
yeah, I don't want to respond to comment sections one way or the other.
although there are some dudes like that throughout my career I've always wanted to meet.
Yeah.
Just to have 5 minutes to talk to him and be like, just to have that 5 minutes.
Well,
Yeah.
sure. It's like jamming with Scott Travis randomly. Great, that was cool and great. But I'm not going to hop on his Facebook and be like, "Hi, Scott."
I mean,
Yeah.
like I would love to meet Anthrax or anybody.
You mean
from
the band,
Anthrax
not
or
the disease. Okay, yeah.
Or Metallica, like one of those bands that like really shaped me as a person.
Yeah.
I would love to have that 5 minutes, but I doubt it'll ever happen. But
But it
still.
might. I think, and I mean, I'd be so bold. I'll humbly say that anybody at this table here could meet any of those people just based on their own merits as a musician. Right.
Sure,
And
yeah.
so it wouldn't be like, that's not like a fanboy thing. That's just like, there's another musician. I'd like to talk to them about musician things.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't think any of us would ask for an autograph.
I mean, well, dude, like over the years, I've met like some really like superstar famous people.
Heavy hitters.
But strangely enough, I don't really get too starstruck when I meet them.
Yeah.
The dude that had me starstruck of all of them over the years was Vinny Appice.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
More than Carmine?
We
did a show with Carmine.
absolutely,
Um,
Vinny over Carmine.
wow.
Absolutely, I was ready to hump Vinny's leg. I was like, dude, I gotta get a picture with you, dude.
Yeah.
I was like,
Dude,
oh.
big kick drum. I love how just like big and resonant Vinny's drum tones are.
That was the moment. That was meeting like a superstar to me. And
That's cool.
That
And
is
he was
cool, yeah.
looking at me like, why are you so happy to meet me? like, he doesn't obviously get the like
Impact.
The
that
influence.
impacts
And what is that for
people
you?
all
Is
the
it
time,
is it the
or
Dio
whatnot.
records? Is it the Sabbath? Like what
It
is
was
it?
it was all of it, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, Dehumanizer.
Yeah.
Obviously,
that-
Holy Diver. I mean,
And same with the Dio stuff too. But
Yeah.
I mean, the Dehumanizer had a huge impact on me. I was a freshman in high school. That's when I met Marty.
Yeah, yeah.
Was at that concert.
Oh
So,
wow.
I mean,
Okay. Very
You know
cool.
what was great about Dehumanizer too is that that's bringing Vinny to the fore at a time where like the Vinny Paul like clicky kick drum was like the trend, but Vinny Appice, depending on which your favorite Vinny is.
Yeah.
A lot of air in his playing. There's a lot of space in the notes. He
Yeah.
lets it breathe, and he's got a lot
Slightly
of style.
slightly behind the beat a little
Yeah,
bit.
his kick
yeah.
drum's not
Yeah.
stuffed full of comforters and blankets and
Yeah.
stuff. It's just that's what it sounds like.
Yep.
I love
He
that.
plays it pretty wide open.
Yeah.
We can hear
Love
it. There's
it.
a lot of air. In what he does.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, but so that was the moment where I was just all giddy, like, oh my god,
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I'm meeting Vinny.
That's so funny. You know what's so funny? I've actually many times in the last couple of years thought about trying to get us opening the gigs with the Last in Line. That actually might be kind of fun.
Oh, with Last in Line?
Because I could meet Vivian while you meet Vinny. That'd be pretty cool.
Well,
be dope.
I've already humped Vinny's legs, so it's cool.
Vivian, Vivian's one of the guys that had a big impact on me when I was a kid too. I remember Vivian, like not only with the White Snake stuff, because that was very impactful, just his presence, because he didn't play on the record. But then I heard like the stuff he did with like River Dogs and the stuff he did like with Dio and all that. I mean, I was way into all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shadow King. That was another band he did with Lou Graham.
Yeah, Vivian always sounded
I
like
don't
he
get
was
Lou
just
Graham.
about to fall off the
But
tracks.
that
and then
record's
he
pretty
didn't.
cool. Oh yeah, dude, especially on the early Dio stuff.
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, the live Dio stuff's fucking amazing.
Oh, God,
the
yes.
live Dio stuff. The with Vivian back when he was like in his 20s and
Oh,
shit.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's just like. That's how hungry it could be. And see, this is the thing that's missing these days is like when we were kids, like every time you turned around, there was a new guitar hero emerging. Like, oh man, Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen's as great as it gets. Wait, who's this George Lynch and Vivian Campbell? Oh my God, John Sykes, who's that? Oh, Yngwie.
Now there's
Yeah.
5 guitar heroes every time you turn around.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. None of them have anything about them that makes you remember what they do, though. That's the thing that sucks. They're great. They're great players, but there's nothing unique about any of them.
I
You
don't
know
even
what
have to swing a dead cat anymore to hit a guitar player.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, exactly. Well, it all, and again,
Back
it all
then,
sounds very.
all those guys sounded different, though. Like Vivian Campbell didn't sound like John Sykes, and John Sykes didn't sound like Eddie Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen didn't sound like Jakey Lee, who didn't sound like
Yeah.
Warren Martini, or didn't sound like George Lynch. They all sounded different from
Well,
each other.
those guys were all
Yeah.
expressive,
Yeah.
right? Lots of bending and like nowadays it's all again. I said it earlier in the podcast. It's all very mathy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no balls, and there's nothing memorable about any of it. You know what I mean? That's the thing not to sound like I'm being too critical. And there's no fucking songs. I mentioned there's no songs.
Like
That's
none of the solo, none of the lead playing sounds like someone could sing it. ever.
Yeah. It's weirdness for the sake of weirdness.
It's like random arpeggiator.
Yeah.
Beep bop, beep
Yep.
bop, beep bop.
great
beep-bop.
skill. I'm not trashing
Yeah,
the guy's
no doubt.
playing, but
Yeah,
it's
but,
just
you
they're
know, yeah.
not great songs. You know what I mean? So.
Yes,
All right, guys, we
indeed.
probably need to start wrapping up. But we're gonna have Tom back on again. We have way too much to get through
Absolutely.
in one single podcast.
So before we wrap up again, so Deconstruct is doing some great stuff right now. Anything people should be on the lookout for in the immediate future?
Yeah, well, Deconstruct, we're in the middle of recording new stuff. I'm doing the Rockify thing, doing the casino circuit.
So if you're
and,
here in Northern California, you can come check out Rockify.
Go see Rockify.
I'm
Yep.
still doing Scott Allen a project
yep.
on the occasion there.
Yep. We're getting a new record's gonna drop either the
someday-
end of this
someday-
year or first part of next year. Yeah.
Someday
Awesome.
somebody will come through town and we will open this shit.
Hell yeah.
You know, it's just a matter of
Open the
deciding.
shit
Like,
out of
okay, I look at these things to book. I always think, okay, is this worth us getting the rehearsal studio for like freaking 3-4 times to get ready for this shit? And you know, is this something that's worth going and spending the time to do? You know what I mean? That's usually the last time we played out was Kingdom Come.
And that
yeah.
was fun.
That was really
a
fun.
good
Yeah.
show. Is there
And-
any video of that show?
Nah, I have no idea. Probably.
Damn it.
Probably. James Kodak's gone. He passed away.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, he died?
Yeah. He was that was all the original band except the singer. Keith St. John was singing with us at that
Oh,
point.
was that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a good show. That was cool. And then, you know what's funny, man? That was a long ass time ago. It was like 21 or something like that.
Was that 3 years
It's
ago?
like 3 years ago. Yeah, that's
God,
crazy.
2021 was a long ass time. That's too much fucking perspective.
But you know, I mean, there's some stuff coming through that I'll look. I'm looking book stuff for us for sure. And the X Ages too. I mean, that's just a matter of. To me, it just comes down to I've had a really weird year, so trying to like.
I feel you there.
Yeah,
It's been a
everyone's
couple
looking
of
forward to
those.
2025.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, it's 2025 next year.
Yeah.
Fuck. I was gonna say 2023. I don't know why. I was
Yep,
gonna
our robot overlords are taking over.
You're going
so-
backwards in time.
Let's
I
take
do that
25
with my
count.
birthday
my,
every year.
my maturity goes backwards for sure. That's,
so
that's
like
the
next
key.
year, I'm actually gonna be 45.
Yeah, right. I like that approach.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Rock Guitar Confidential podcast with Brian and Scott. Please make sure to check out our website at www.xagesband.com.
That's www.exaegisband.com.
There you'll find links to our social media. Please follow us on social and send us some happy, wonderful messages about how awesome we are. That's the only kind that are acceptable. And please make sure to rate, subscribe to this podcast, and we'll catch you next week. Thank you so much.
Peace.